Welcome to DAX Machina, with your hosts, Naoma Finn, Steve Wildman Munrotis, and D.A. Roberts. Join us as we explore writing, books, authors, and all things horror. We will delve into the sightings, reports, encounters, and tales of monsters. We will also explore the writings of D.A. Roberts along with others in the horror genre. We will investigate the possibilities that monsters may not be safely locked away in the pages of books. They might just walk among us even now. Grab some popcorn and lock the doors. It's going to be a creepy journey. Welcome to DAX Machina.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to DAX Machina. We're happy to have you. To quote the old Saturday Night Live bit, hello, folks, I'm D.A. Roberts, and you're not. If you guys can recognize who that's from, post it in the chat room, and I'll give you a high five. Thank you guys for joining us. We're going to be discussing the legends behind Halloween and the facts behind Halloween with the wonderful Naoma Finn. Naoma, how are you doing tonight?
Just this side of wonderful.
I think you're on the other side of wonderful. You do an awesome job. We've got quite a few people in the house tonight already.
Cool.
Good evening, folks. Thank you for joining us. You guys are awesome. Man, the chat room is already cracking. I mean, it has been in the YouTube for the last few minutes. Thank everybody for being here. Want to pay special thanks to our moderators that are going to be doing a wonderful job tonight. Keep a thought for Josh tonight. Josh is not feeling well. He may not be joining us tonight. I don't want to give away any information that Josh doesn't want me to give, but he might not be in the chat room for a while tonight. That he's not feeling well. He's having some health issues. So, kind word for Josh would go a long way. Kind of keep him in your thoughts and prayers if you don't mind, folks. He could use it right now. But again, we are discussing Halloween and all the creepy crap that goes bump in the night, which is my favorite time of the year. I love Halloween. What about you, Naoma?
Oh, I absolutely love it. I'm one of those creepy things that goes bump in the night.
Me too. It's usually me. When you hear the screeching noise, it's usually me stubbing my toe on the furniture in the dark.
Yeah.
I think that's what the peaky toe was invented for. It was to find furniture in the dark.
It should be called the hook because it hooks everything.
Yeah. Yes, it does.
I bumped into a bookcase just last night. Thought I broke my toe. But anyway, so what makes Halloween so special for you, DA?
I've always liked that time of year when the leaves are turning and the air is starting to get a little cool at night. And that's when the little campfire is all the better, and the coffee or the hot cocoa tastes so much better by the fire. Of course, so does a glass of whiskey. Well, just throw that out there. But I like making s'mores over a campfire, and I love that feeling of chill in the air because that's when the horror movies are the best. It's cold outside. You get the blanket pulled up, and I've just always loved horror. And I watch horror movies year round. So don't think Halloween's anything special. I'm a horror nerd 24/7. If you can't tell from my books, but I love that whole fall feeling. It's just it fits my mood. I'm built for cooler climates. I like cold weather. My wife hates cold weather. So this is kind of the time of year when we're both kind of happy. And I just like Halloween. Always have.
Oh, thanks, Smitty.
Mark Napier says the leaves are turning in LBL. Woohoo!
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the bugs to die.
Yeah.
It hasn't quite got. Last time I was there with Nick. Oh my God. I've got this headlamp that's like 3,500 lumens or something like that. I kicked it on and it was like, I had a cloud of bugs around my head. I swallowed like 4 or 5 of them, spitting them out. And I'm like turning the light off going, get away from me, you stupid bugs. So we had to use like low powered flashlights when we were looking around because anytime we busted out the bright ones, it was just like clouds of these like mayflies and
well,
I can still taste them.
Yeah, put a little salt on them. It helps.
Yeah.
As you know, I am terrified of spiders, and we have one living outside my back door right now. And my husband went out to kill it, and he did. He succeeded, but I made him wait a couple of days because we've had such a bad buggy summer that I was like, feed it first.
You let it eat good for a while.
I can use the front door for a few days. It's not a big deal. But he was like, no, I can kill it right now. Just wait a few days. Let's let it fill its web up. It worked hard to build that web.
Heck yeah. Spiders are getting big too. There was one out off my back porch the other day, and it was probably that big around, about the size of a silver dollar. And it had spun its web across part of the door. So I went to walk outside and let Harley, the wonder dog, out, and I walked right into that web and saw that big old spider. And holy crap. You think I'd invented a new dance style trying to get the hell out of there.
Yeah, my body will move in ways I didn't know it could if I walk into a spider web. That is my worst nightmare come true. I am just terrified of them. And this one was right by the back door. And
those are the worst. You always walk into the web.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't out there catching bugs. It was out there to catch me.
Josh Dalton says, Nebo flashlight make a small portable bug vapor DA. Well, I need to find that. That might just do me a solid there. You know, mosquitoes don't really bother me. I don't get bit by mosquitoes much, but my wife, oh my God, she's like a mosquito magnet. If we go anywhere there's mosquitoes, they're all over her. I might get one or two, and she'll have like bumps all over her legs, like she's got chicken pox or something.
I've always been told that I don't get mosquito bit much, and I've always been told it's because I eat so much garlic.
I like a lot of garlic.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I heard it's a blood type thing though, that they go specifically after certain blood types, and
I've heard that too.
She's one of those blood types that they just like.
Yeah, tastes better than mine, I guess. I don't know. I've heard that. But I think that I may be that blood type though. So no, my voice is going. That's not cool.
Richie Evans says, I hate no-see-ums. Those little bitty ticks and chiggers freak me out too. I hate those things.
Yeah.
Ace Binder says, sounds like your wife has sweet blood. Make sure she's not near any vampires. Oh, she's too ornery for vampires. Believe me. It'd be like, you know, I was watching a thing earlier tonight on the not a travel channel, on one of the streaming services, and it was like Haunted America, and it was supposedly a vampire encounter in New Orleans, where this woman was standing outside a bar, and this guy walked up and he's like talking to her, and he like tried to bite her on the neck. I'm like, that's about the point my wife would kick him in the nuts and shove him into a trash can.
Yeah,
like vampires don't fare well against people that have had self-defense training.
I always think of myself as being like a quart of beer to a vampire. You know, they're used to getting a 12-ounce can, and they look at me and they're like, "Ooh, a full quart." So I stay away from them. Maybe a kegger, I don't know, but definitely not something that I'd want to run into them.
They bite me and make that bitter beer face. That like, I don't like this guy. He tastes spoiled. This one's gone bad.
Didn't check the use by date on him. That's why.
I expired long ago.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we are well over 1,300 subscribers now. We've got a lot of new folks on the channels, and I want to say something. I say how much I appreciate you guys coming with us and coming over and checking out the channel. And if you haven't had a chance, some of you may not be aware, I write several series of cryptid related and other like zombie horror. I write primarily horror, but I do write sci-fi, and I have a fantasy series coming out. So if you like fantasy and horror and sci-fi, please check my books out at daroberts.net. I just wanted to pop that in there and let everybody know. And if you haven't had a chance to swing by the Patreon, you can actually have a direct impact on the way the books are written and the future of the DA verse. So check out the Patreon at daroberts.author at patreon.com. Very much appreciate you folks.
Real quick, we have to announce special time and date for the next show.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. We're doing a special show for Halloween, so we won't be here on a normal Saturday night. We'll be doing the show on Sunday night, and Sunday night we'll be telling creepy stories, some Halloween related, some cryptid related, and we'll at some point we'll get into all sorts of creepy stuff. And then later, after our show winds down, I will be joining the guys from All Tower Media as we play the horror themed video game Bigfoot. It's a multiplayer game online where you've got characters that are out hunting Bigfoot, and I'm going to be playing Bigfoot. I'm going to be trying to kill all the guys from All Tower Media.
That'll be fun.
It's going to be a hoot and a half.
Yeah, that'd be the kind of game I would play, even although I don't play video games.
Well, if you want to play, you're welcome to jump in with us.
No, I used to play video games and I got very addicted, and I promised that I would never do that again.
Hey, Spanner 007 says, "We wants to know if you're going to be dressing up as Elvira, Mistress of the Dark." That would totally rock.
I could almost do that. I've got the nails for it.
Yes, you do. That would be awesome. I haven't decided what I'm going to dress up as. I've got a pretty good one I'm going to lean toward. I bought the sweater for it. I'm probably going to be dressed as the dude from The Big Lebowski. So I already bought the sweater. I've got the beard, but I can't grow the hair, so DA abides.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to dress up as. I'd have to really think long and hard about that.
Well, you got a few days, so we're good to go.
Yeah. Didn't occur to me that I'd be dressing up on Sunday. I should have been thinking long and hard about that a month ago.
Well, just remember, you really only have to dress up from like chest up.
True. I could actually not iron my hair, put on my brown glasses, and be Janis Joplin.
There you go.
Yeah, because when my hair isn't done like this, it's like totally Janis. Takes a lot to make my hair this straight.
Verona Jones says she is going to be touring Alcatraz on Halloween. That is awesome. Take video. I would love to see that.
Yeah. I of course, I live not that far from Adams, Tennessee, which is where the Bell Witch Cave is.
Oh,
and I thought
we need to make a trip up there and go to the Bell Witch.
Mm-hmm.
We should go up there and film. And
what you need to do is you need to come down and go to the LBL, and then drive on down to Bell Witch, and then on down to Montgomery Bell State Park and hit Werewolf Springs. And
we need to set that up and make that happen, because my wife's all about road trips, especially up like into the Smokies. She loves that area, so I think we could make that happen pretty easily.
It's funny. Your wife and I are so much alike. I am the family dog. My husband's like, "Want to go for a ride?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah, she loves going for rides, and we're always going places when she feels up to it. She's had some health issues in the past couple of years, but this Saturday, since we're not going to be doing a show, we're going to go back down to Silver Dollar City, and going to go down there with a bunch of family and eat some food, because they've got the Fall Harvest Fest going on down there. So we're gonna eat some good food and listen to some music, and maybe I'll get a chance to talk to Cowboy Kent Rollins again.
Cool. My baked beans are better though.
I would like to try those, because I tried his recipe for baked beans, and they are damn tasty.
Yeah, I start from scratch with my beans, and he starts with cans. And
cans are faster, but from scratch is better.
Mm-hmm. My kids are all coming for Thanksgiving. It'll be the first time I've been together with all of my children and grandchildren since 2017. And I'm going to be making those beans for Thanksgiving.
Well, I'm currently writing a new cryptid short story that's going at the same time. It's going to be called Dog Soldier. It's about Will Gray Eagle when he was in Afghanistan. And after the conversation I had with your son, with Papa Bear, I'm incorporating a lot of the stuff he told me about the Barmanu.
Oh, cool.
So it's going to be a cryptid story set in Afghanistan, long before Will Grey Eagle was one of the Hota Metaneo. And that one I'm going to get to you and Cam, so you guys can put it on either What If It's True or Dixie Cryptid. And I'm also going to be releasing it with a collection of short stories in print and audio. So look for that coming soon. When I release Operation Lily, codename Wild Hunt Operation Lily, it's also going to have a collection of a few short stories with it, 4 or 5 short stories. I haven't decided how many, but it's going to have a number of short stories with it, so it's still going to be a pretty good sized book. It won't just be a little novella.
Cool.
So that's coming soon. I got Lakeview Man 3. Lakeview Man 3 is coming along. I'm pretty happy with the way Lakeview Man 3 is turning out. My alpha readers are giving me good feedback on it. I'm pretty excited about getting Lakeview 3 done, because I think people are going to like it. It's going to set a few people on their ear. They're going to be like, "What'd you do that for?"
I laid in my bed the other night and brought it up on my laptop, because that's how I do that, and opened it up. And when I woke up, it was still showing me the cover page. That's how tired I've been lately. But I promise you, I am going to get it read. It's just taken me a while. I feel really bad about it, but I just have had so much on my plate lately. It's not been fun.
Well, hopefully you get caught up.
Yeah.
I've had quite a few people asking me about how you were coming with Lakeview 2 on the audio.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to answer. I know you'd been busy, so
it is, as soon as I get this project that we were talking about earlier done, I do promise that is next in line.
Well, just popped it up. What about the first duty release date? So it is coming, and I believe Cam is working on the codename Wild Hunts right now.
Yep.
So I've got to get with Cam. Probably I'll try to get with Cam before the weekend and talk to him and get that all set up through ACX. And again, once those are turned into Amazon, it still takes about a month to a month and a half for Amazon to approve them. Don't know why it takes that long. It just does.
And in all fairness, it's probably going to reject them the first time I submit them, because of the issue I'm having with
your audio.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, we'll get it done. We will get it done. It just fair warning, folks. Even when we're done with it, Amazon still drags their feet. So hopefully, Cam will have all 3 of the codename Wild Hunts. And I'm going to talk. I'm actually going to text him, or hopefully he's in the audience tonight and he's listening. If you're out there, shoot me a text tonight or tomorrow. I know you'll be in bed by the time we're off the show, but set up a time where we can talk on the phone. I got a couple of the things I want to talk to you about, so hopefully you're interested, and we'll jump in the middle of that from there and see what happens next. But yeah, we've got a lot of irons in the fire. But speaking of awesome stories, Neoma has an awesome story, and it's Halloween related. She's going to narrate that here on the show. And when she's done with that, we're going to jump into the history of Halloween, or the Festival of Samhain, as the Celts would call it.
Well, let me just bring that up. And boy,
oh, she froze up. Okay, I'll stall. Bill Sloan says, looking forward to the new upcoming books. Have read Wild Hunt, Lakeview Man, Apex Predator, and Nightmare Hunter books 5 or 6 times. Looking forward to more. Awesome. Sorry, Naomi, you locked up, so I was trying to cover.
The second that I brought that up before, it locked me up. Darn it. Okay,
there you go. You're starting to clear up now.
I'm going to go all the way out and all the way back in and see if I can make this stop being a jerk.
Avery, the Big Belly Dinosaur, and Dad says, I loved your version of Steve Lilly, but I didn't know any of your people, so I'm trying to get the backstory, and everyone looks like the starting point is Lakeview Man. That is correct. Lakeview Man is the starting point, Lakeview Man 1, and it just kind of branches out from there. I have a timeline of all the books in order. It's posted on my website, and I will see if I can find it to get it posted up here as well. I used to have it in the show queue, but apparently I have moved it since then, and I will see if I can locate it. I think Naoma's about back. I just heard the beep that indicates she's... Did that work?
Yeah. Well, let's see what happens. I'm going to click this button, and we'll see. Did I freeze up? Did I freeze?
Nope.
Am
We're
I
still
here?
good. But to answer Avery's question real quick,
freeze.
this is the order. It starts out with Apex Predator Wolf Moon, then Lakeview Man, then Apex Predator Blood Moon, then the first book of Codename Wild Hunt, which is Codename Wild Hunt Odin's Call. Then the third book of the Apex Predator series, Apex Predator Hunter's Moon. Then the second book of Codename Wild Hunt, which is Curse of Wendigo. Then Lakeview 2, Lakeview Man First Duty. Then the fourth book of the Apex Predator books, which is Apex Predator Horned Moon. Followed by the third book in the Codename Wild Hunt series, which is Operation Blood Eagle. And where that next blank spot would be, that would be where the Nightmare Hunter would be. I haven't updated this. And then farther down the road, you've got the Ragnarok Rising series, because that does happen in the future. And then obviously much in the future is the sci-fi. We'll be doing a totally new version of this in the coming days. Josh is going to be helping me when he feels better about getting all of this updated and new projects put on there. Hey, we just got a super chat from Patty. Remember, we have super chat. Awesome. Thank you, Patty. Yes, folks, remember, we do have the super chat. If you look down there at the bottom of the YouTube channel, you'll see the next to the little emoticon, there's also a $, which is the super chat for supporting the channel. And then there's a create a poll if you want to create a poll, ask people questions in there. But thank you for the super chat. Everybody check that out. We sure appreciate that. That goes to support the channel. Naomi, I think you locked up again.
I did. Every time I try to bring up the story, I've shut down everything else on my computer.
Weird.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
No. Oh, okay. I'm gonna leave again.
Okay.
And I'm going to reboot my router.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
Like this.
I will talk about books and goofy stuff and try to be entertaining until you get back.
Okay.
I will muddle through without you, but it will be very hard.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Avery, Big Belly Dinosaur. Oh yeah. Okay, we already covered that one. And then Bill Simmons is looking forward to the new upcoming books. Have read Wild Hunt Lake. Okay, yeah, we covered that one too. I'm a little bit behind. Irene DeWitt says 1973 is the year Northwoods. I went to the hospital okay. Sorry. That was a different conversation. Northwood says, I think I'll be getting Lakeview Man and Apex Predator books for myself in the next couple of weeks. Awesome. Thank you so much. Mark Napier says, I started out of order, but I'm trying to straighten things out. And then Avery, the Big Belly Dinosaur and Dad says, answer me this. Did Clark call the number on the card right after the last attack? They came back since he was so busted up. If you read at the end of Lakeview Man, the prologue takes place where he proposes to Amanda, and he basically tells her, "You run for sheriff. I'm calling this number." So it's shortly right after the end of Lakeview Man. Laura Simmons says, "Well, Irene, I fell on the ice one winter and said no more." I totally understand. But I don't mind the cold. Never have. It's a great time to have a fire and have a glass of something entertaining. I don't like eggnog, but I do like a good whiskey or a good cup of coffee, which is something I've got now. I've got some Black Rifle coffee going. Cold weather's always suited me more comfortable because I've always been a big guy, and I just enjoy the cold weather. I like that time of year. Oh, Richie Evans says, "Hey, the brisket came out yesterday." If you were thinking, yeah, I bet. How was it? He sent me pictures of that smoked brisket. I was like, oh, that looks good. Richie Evans, BRCC. Yes, sir. I'm drinking Beyond Black. I like the really dark roasts. Ace Banner says the cold is the best time to work out and get in shape. Got a good point. That's when you don't want to be out running around town and everything. So if you got access to weights, that's a good time to do it. I'm modifying my own diet, trying to lose some weight. So hopefully I can get that done. Avery says, yes, but the gap between is what I was wondering. I figured in your head the story continued to the hospital, etc. Yeah, he would have called the number on the card to join Wild Hunt probably within days of him getting out of the hospital, because they went to, at the end of the prologue, they were in Spain, and that's where he proposed to her. So he probably would have called it right after that. So it would have had to have been a couple of weeks at least before the start of Codename Wild Hunt Odin's Call. So yeah, it's right in there in that timeline. But he would have made the decision probably pretty early. Papa Bear says, "Where did you get the inspiration for Catholic siblings and the apex predator horned moon?" Those were based on characters that I had as basically. Well, Matthias was a player character. The other two were NPCs in a game that we played years ago, role playing game. Actually, it's Marvel Superheroes role playing game that we played years ago. So Matthias Giovanni was my character. Played him for years and years, but those were his siblings, and we always joked that they were descended from Lucky Luciano, but it was never out and out said it. And I just decided to run with it. They're characters that I've got firmly established in my head, and I wanted to bring them into that universe and have fun with them because they were fun characters. I don't play those games anymore, but I still like them. I still play them, and yeah, that's the origin of where those characters came from. Patty says, I enjoy hot toddies in the cold. I only drink hot toddy if I'm sick. Northwoods, I quit drinking 20 years ago, but I still stick to hot apple cider or hot chocolate. I don't blame you there. Those are both good. I tried at Silver Dollar City one year at Christmas. They had something called hot wassail. It was like a traditional holiday drink. And I wanted to try it. I started referring to it as hot awful after that because it was terrible. I did not like it. Man, she must have had to reboot the computer completely. Oh, yes, she was going to reboot the router. Avery says, with all my driving, I only have time for the audiobooks. I have plenty of time to wander between audio releases. Well, hopefully we'll be getting some of those out very, very soon. I know Cam is working on the Codename Wild Hunts. My friend that was going to be doing the Apex Predators is having some scheduling issues, so we may have to rework who's going to be doing the Apex Predators. So I'll be talking to a couple of people about that in the very near future. But I want to try to get all of them out as quickly as I can, because not only do y'all want the audios, the people that want the audiobooks, to me, it's just, I want to have everything out in as many venues as I can. Also, hopefully starting soon, some of them are going to start showing up available in hardback edition, which is something Amazon they have it in the beta testing phase for doing hardbacks. And I was one of the people they chose for the beta. So I'm looking into how to do the hardback versions of all of the books. So hopefully in the next few months, they'll start becoming available in hardback edition as well. I think I'll probably start with the Ragnarok Rising series to get those out in hardback, because the 10th anniversary of the release of the first book of the Ragnarok Rising series is coming up next year. Be the first week of July 2022 will be exactly 10 years since the first book of the Ragnarok Rising series was released and kicked all of this off. So I'm probably going to do the Ragnarok Rising series first, and then just pick a series and go from there. Because I'm 23 books in and I'm still writing other books. So by the time I start releasing hardbacks, it's probably going to be closer to 26 or 28 books. So we'll see. Well, I've got a lot of projects going, and so little time, so to speak. I'm hoping we'll get all that done and out to everybody as soon as possible. Again, I'm going to talk to Cam this week about getting some of the audio books done. We can throw that on my website back up there for any of you guys that want to check out the books, and would certainly appreciate that. Get back over to the chat. Avery says, will it mess me up to skip your zombie story audiobook since it's already on the site? No, it won't mess you up to skip it. But those series, while they're connected, they also stand alone. So you can listen to the Ragnarok without it affecting any of the outcomes of the other books. It's just at a certain point in the Ragnarok Rising series, you're going to see a character that you recognize from the other books. Mark Napier says, just don't stop making paperback books. I'm already 10 books into a collection. That's the plan, man. I am. I hope to be old and gray when I finally give it up and retire. One of my favorite authors is Cormac McCarthy, who writes The Road and No Country for Old Men. He's a fantastic writer, and he's like 92 or 94, something like that, and he's still cranking books out. So I'm hoping to have a long and prosperous career like Cormac. So that's my plan anyway. We'll see. We'll see if Mother Nature's willing to keep it up, but that's at least my plan. Naoma wrote this short story based on an Irish legend, and I think you guys are going to really enjoy it. Hopefully, she'll be back before too terribly long. Avery says, gratefully you answer my questions. Thank you, sir. Anytime, I'm more than happy to help. Werewolf says, I'm on 4 now. Awesome. Oh, cool. Hooter Transport says, halfway through Wild Hunt, fast reading books, lots of action. I like that style. I like to have a lot of action in the books. I once read an article that was it was an interview with Mickey Spillane that wrote all of those old classic noir type detective novels, and they asked him, and this stuck with me. They asked him, they said, Mickey, when the book seems to be bogging down and you want to get things moving again, what do you do? He said, that's easy. I have 2 thugs kick in the door and beat up the main character. And that stuck with me. So whenever I get to a point where it feels like it's starting to slow down a little bit, I just start a fight. Yeah, I don't know where it's going to come from, but I just start a fight, then throw the characters into a combat situation, and then things kick back into high gear, and it goes from there. So I'm at a point in Lakeview 3. I'm just going to have to start a fight because I'm at a point where I know where I want to go, but I've got to get that catalyst to get it there. A little over 30,000 words. It's coming along well. Also got a new short story in the works. It's called Dog Soldier, and it's going to be part of a short story collection coming up. And hopefully it'll be narrated as well on Dixie Cryptid or What If It's True podcast. AJ says, any chance of box sets? I need to look into that because I would like to do a box set for the Ragnarok Rising series because it's an encapsulated series. It has a beginning and an end. I don't know if I'm going to do box sets for any of the others because they're active series. I wouldn't want to do a box set and then that series still be continuing, and therefore you either need a bigger box or a second series. But I will be working on one at least for the Ragnarok Rising series, and possibly the Blood and Redemption trilogy, which is going to be the first trilogy of the fantasy series, because I'm going to release that in groups of 3. It'd be trilogies. No relations to Dog Soldiers movie. No, there was nothing along those lines at all. The movie Dog Soldiers is a great movie. I love that movie. One of my classics. But it's based on the Dog Soldier, the Dog Soldiers of Lakota legend, which is, if you read the Apex Predator books, that's the main characters are the Dog Soldiers, the Hota Metaneo. And this is Gray Eagle feeling the first true call back to his heritage when he's in combat in Afghanistan. Something happens, and it makes him go back to his roots. So that's the name. Thus the name Dog Soldier. Avery says a Boggy Creek series would be nice. I like the Boggy Creek legend, and I may eventually take Codename Wild Hunt down there, but I don't know if I'd do a Boggy Creek series. It would be, I don't want to confine it to just that one general area. That's why I've got the Apex Predator people jumping all over the place. They go from, the Ozarks. The next one's going to be an LBL. Werewolf says, are there really caves under the school? You mean in the Ragnarok Rising books? Yes, there are. That cave runs all the way out to Doling Park out on the east end of town, and actually goes farther into town, and allegedly connects with some of the steam tunnels underneath the city. And there's a bunch of tunnels and caves underneath the city of Springfield. So yeah, those caves are actually there. And Ace says, God, I'll start to read your book since you're my kind of author. Awesome. I appreciate that, sir. Thank you very much. Northwood says, war has a way of making you want to get closer to things and people back home. Well, I think you guys would get a kick out of this story. It's going to be a pretty good sized short story by the time I'm done. I mean, I'm like 5,000 words into it, and I really haven't even got to the meat of the story. So it's probably going to be 10 to 15,000 words. It'll be about the size of Operation Lily, and it's going to go into a collection of short stories with that same story. It's going to be called Codename Wild Hunt, Operation Lily, and Other Stories. And all of them will be about the characters that you've seen in Codename Wild Hunt. So I hope you guys will like that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully I'm going to have that out very soon. Hopefully, actually before Lakeview 3, but they may release in very, very close proximity. Now, good evening, DA. Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you for joining us. Lakeview 3 is close to hitting its stride. I mean, I'm really hoping to get it done in the next couple of weeks. I've solved the cover issue. I've got a guy that's doing covers again. So we're back in business for covers. Naoma's doing my editing, and she's fantastic. So we've solved the problem of logistics of getting the books out without covers. Avery says, "Bring Clark or any of your people by Trussellville, Alabama one day, and I'll feed them." Well, that would be awesome. It might wind up down in your neck of the woods one of these nights. You never know. Right, Roger says, "Hey, Stan." He says, "Knowing you since we were teens, I would never have guessed you'd be such a great author." Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Well, it's just same like we used to play D&D, brother. I mean, we'd sit at my dining room table in Lebanon and tell stories. That's really all writing is. It's just telling stories. And D&D is just interactive storytelling. And that's what really helped me hone my ability as a writer. I wrote since I was a little kid. I've told all kinds of stories, and some of them were good, some of them were horrible. But it was those basically group storytelling sessions that helped me focus my creativity and my desire to write. Lenny says, "Avery, I live in Anniston. Feed me also." LOL. Bill Sloan says, "I'm new to Amazon, but if I follow you there, will it alert me to new releases?" Yes, it's supposed to. Amazon gets a little slow about it. It might take a week or two, but they are supposed to be emailing out more and more of my new releases. If not, you can swing by my author page, which is daroberts.net. And you can sign up for my blog, and I sign up for the newsletter, subscribe to the blog, and I always post new releases on the blog. So if you join the blog actually subscribe here, we'll be talking about releases on here as well. So check out the show and sign up for the blog, and you'll always get an email alert whenever a new release comes out. Avery says, "I'll feed you too." Lenita, that's funny. Irene says, "Avery, I live in the south side of Dothan." I'm not sure where that's at. I'm hoping Naoma is able to even get back. Wow, it's taken her a hot minute. Well, since we're waiting on Naoma to get back, I want to mention a little bit of something about Dark Angel Medical. I know you guys have heard me talk about him quite a bit. Kerry Davis is a good friend of mine. I just talked to him a couple of days ago, and he's putting together a care package to send to me. It's going to have a whole bunch of T-shirts, patches, hats, stickers, all kinds of stuff from Dark Angel Medical, and we're going to start giving those away as soon as I get those. So, Kerry's hooking us up with a bunch of stuff to give away. So we're going to have some Dark Angel swag to give away in the very near future. And he's got some pretty good stuff. His patches are awesome. Like I told him before, and I may have mentioned it here, when I was on duty as an officer, the Dark Angel medical patches were the only ones that ever got stolen off my gear. And they're really cool patches. This one, I don't know how well you can see it, but it's because it's kind of dark. But and they're made out of PVC with a Velcro on the back, really high quality patches. And those are the only ones that ever got stolen off my gear. Werewolf says leprechauns took Naoma. I'm starting to think so. Naoma, what's going on? She says, she just messaged me, says, now I have no internet at all. Oh, crap. Well, crap. Well, This may be a much different show than originally anticipated. I will go into a little bit about the history of Halloween, and I'll go ahead and start some of that. The history of Halloween actually dates back to Ireland and goes back into the Middle Ages. It was originally a Celtic harvest festival, uh, and in Gaelic it's pronounced Samhain, but it looks like Samhain. And there's actually a band called Samhain, and people call it Samhain, but the Gaelic pronunciation is Samhain. Um, when it was Christianized, they started calling it All Hallows Day, and also All Hallows Eve. Uh, but the history of that, it goes back to pagan roots. It was a time of sacrifice. Sacrifices for the harvest that came in. They would make sacrifices to different deities and the fairies for safekeeping through the winter, and for keeping their animals alive through the winters, because some of the winters got pretty harsh. But there were sacrifices of animals, sacrifices of parts of the harvest, and some of the darker circles say even possibly human sacrifice. And that's where some of the darkness actually started creeping into the Halloween legend. It was also a time when the veil was thinnest, and the spirits of your dead ancestors would come to visit you, and they would leave food and small gifts out for them on the hearth at night. Kind of like an undead version of Christmas, but only the presents were for the dead folks, and they would leave those out in the night to appease the spirits of their dead ancestors, which is really kind of a neat custom, but also at the same time it's kind of terrifying to think that ghosts are coming into your house whether you want them to or not. Patty says, "Tell Naomi to steal Wi-Fi from the neighbors." That's hilarious. Ace Banner says costume. Oh, no, she's getting into her costume. Okay. Yeah, I hope she can get her internet back. We'll get it figured out one way or the other, but I hopefully that she'll have that resolved very soon. Oh, I've got somebody asking if they would like to join the podcast. Sorry, it never fails. When we go live, I end up getting 25 messages on Facebook Messenger. It's like everybody's like, boom, boom, boom. Like, I'm live, people. Ace Better says kind of sounds like Mexico's custom of Day of the Dead. It's very similar, but due to the pagan elements in it, there was a time of sacrifice, which is not really commonly practiced in Christian times. The festival of Samhain was a big time because of the harvest that just came in, and it changed. It was incorporated to a large extent by the Christianization of Ireland, but at the same time, it didn't change as much as they would have liked. You got now we've got costume trick-or-treating, people using jack-o'-lanterns, bonfires, bobbing for apples, all that stuff. But all that stuff actually had roots in the history of it. Each one of it was something significant. And when so many people from Scotland and Ireland immigrated to the United States when it was still a growing country, when they were still expanding west, they brought all those traditions with them. And that's where we get the jack-o'-lantern. Although the original Irish version was made from a turnip, which I've seen pictures of those made from turnips, and they're actually kind of terrifying. They look a lot more terrifying than a pumpkin. Patty's is kind of like our Day of the Dead tradition. Yeah, a lot like it. There's a lot of similarities into it. And it's really kind of a neat concept that you're not only being thankful for the harvest, but you're giving back to those that went before. You're kind of honoring the fallen family, those that might not have made it through the year or even longer. And it's really kind of a neat tradition. But that's where the first started coming in, of tradition of it being a haunted time. Also, some of the darker Fey, the creatures that would also that were coming to Earth at that time, were supposedly preying on people, and the fairy were not always good magic. Sometimes it was dark magic. Richie Evans says Jack had black candles that were made from human fat. Oof. I'm not entirely sure I would want to see those. Hey, Naomi's back. I can stop rambling. Hey, you made it.
Yeah, I don't know how long it's gonna last. I have a
Patty was
plug-in
saying you should
issue.
just steal Wi-Fi from your neighbors.
They have their systems completely locked, I'm sure. I have one neighbor whose Wi-Fi says NSA surveillance. So,
NSA surveillance. That's funny.
mhm.
I named our router for a while FBI surveillance van number 4, just to mess with my neighbors. Now I've just got it hidden. Well, I started in some of the history of Halloween, and thought it'd be a great opportunity for you to segue right into your story since you're back, and then we'll go
Okay.
from there.
I'm a little worried about bringing it up, so I think I'm just going to tell the story.
Okay, that is equally as good. Lorson says, Mr. Roberts, I emailed you a picture of my latest addition to my craft room. You'll get a kick out of it. I will definitely check that out. While she's telling the story, I'm going to do that right now.
Well, a long time ago back in Ireland, there was this guy named Stingy Jack. And Stingy Jack was exactly what you might think he was. He was stingy. And he was a bit of a no good kind of the guy. He loafed around, he didn't do much. He kept all his money to himself, pretended all the time he was poor. Just not a real likable guy. One day, old Stingy Jack was walking down a gravel road, and he came to the conclusion that he really would like to stop in at the local pub and have a pint and enjoy some good conversation. Problem was, Stingy Jack was stingy, and he sure did not want to have to buy anybody else's ale. So he figured he wasn't going to be able to have any good company. And that kind of had him down until he happened to notice coming down the road at that exact moment was Satan. Hey, Satan, he said, thinking to himself, what have I done? Why is Satan here? But old Satan, he's just all, sup, Jack? Kept right on walking. He said, oh, must not be coming for me. But Satan's a pretty rich guy. Maybe he'll buy my drinks. So he runs and he catches up with him and says, hey, old buddy, old pal, old friend, what you up to? Satan says, well, I'm just headed into town to have myself a pint of ale. And he says, wow, I was just looking for someone to have a few drinks with. How about I come along with you? And Satan looks at him and says, well, okay, but you do know who I am, right? Jack says, well, yeah, you're Satan. You're Beelzebub, the devil. I know exactly. Yeah, says Satan. And yeah, I know. You know who I am. All right, well, come on. So they go to the local pub and they have a few pints of ale. And they're starting to fill their cups. And pretty soon, just when Jack thinks that things are going just right, Satan stands up and says, well, it's been a good time, Jack. Catch you later. Jack says, oh, wait. What about the bill? Satan says, well, I ain't got no money. I thought you'd take care of it. And Jack says, oh, come on, Satan. I thought maybe you'd take care of it this time, and I'd catch you next time. I ain't got no money either. Satan says, well, that's your problem, buddy. I'm out of here. But just before he vanished, Jack said, hey, wait. I've got a really good idea. How about you turn yourself into a coin? I'll pay the bill with you. And when no one else is around, when no one's looking, you can certainly turn yourself back into you and disappear, and we'll have gotten free drinks and they'll think they got paid and no one will be the wiser. Well, Satan, never one to turn down the opportunity to do evil. He was like, yeah, I like the way you think. Let's do that. About that time, he popped himself into a gold coin right in Jack's hand. Jack's holding that coin up and he's looking at it. He's thinking, man, that gold coin's worth a lot more than this beer tab here we got. And he starts thinking about it, and his stingy nature took over, and he dropped that coin right down in his pocket. Only thing is, there was also a silver cross in his pocket. And now Satan was stuck as a silver coin. And he was not happy about it. And the second Jack realized that he had Satan trapped in his pocket, he was happy about it. And he wasn't about to say or do a darn thing about it. And old Satan, he's down there in his pocket, and he's cussing and yelling and having a fit. And he said, "You let me out of here, you dog, you dirty, rotten piece of crap. Why don't you, you can't do this to me. You let me out of here. You let me out of here." But Jack, not a thing. He carried old Satan around in his pocket for about 3 months until he finally could not stand the whining and crying anymore. So he says to Satan, he says, "Well, if I let you out of my pocket, how about we make a deal and you don't come around for about a year. You leave me alone for a whole year and I'll let you out of my pocket." "Are you kidding me? You deserve to be punished. What the heck do you do? I'm not about..." No, says Jack. "No. You can stay in my pocket for the rest of my life for all I care. Or you can agree to stay away from me for a year and I'll let you out." Says Satan, "I guess." Out he pops. He is not happy. He is not happy at all. But he's made a deal, and a deal's a deal. So he just turns around and he says, "You know what? You stay away from me for a year." And off he goes. Well, about a year goes by, and Jack happened to be walking down that same gravel road. And he was just as stingy as he ever was. And who should be coming the other direction, walking right at him, but old Satan. "Hey, old buddy," Jack says. "Yeah, we got business," says Satan. "Oh, come on. Bygones be bygones." No bygones, no bygones. We got business. Come on with me." Now, Satan, he wasn't exactly thrilled about letting Jack in his house, but Jack needed to be punished. Jack's like, "Yeah, but hey, why don't we go over to the pub and have a drink first?" And he says, "Oh, no, you fool me once, can't fool me twice. I ain't going to pull that one again." And he says, "Oh, come on, Satan. It's a long, hot time in hell, and I'm going to be thirsty." And "No," says Satan, "forget it." He says, "Well, there's an apple tree over there. Couldn't you at least climb up and get me a couple apples before I go? One last meal. Everybody gets a last meal, don't they?" "Oh, all right," said Satan. "Whatever." And he climbs up the tree, and all the way up the tree, he is just mumbling and groaning. "You beat all. You are just nothing. I've never seen anything like you. You just beat all." And he gets all the way up to the top of the tree, and he gets a couple of apples, and he tosses them down to Jack, and he starts back down the tree, but he can't get down because while he was up there, old Stingy Jack carved a cross in that tree. Satan was stuck up in the tree. Now he was really hot. He's sitting up there on the branches, and he is just throwing a fit and calling Jack names that you had never heard and just going to town, and looks up at the sky and says, "Oh, stop laughing at me." Because, God's really thinking this is pretty funny. And old Jack, he's just sitting down there under that tree, eating those apples and grinning and eating and grinning. Satan is throwing a fit. Finally, he says, "Oh, come on, Jack, let me out of the tree." Jack says, "Well, old buddy, if I let you out of the tree, you can't come around me for 10 years, and you can't take me to hell when you do." "Oh, for the love of Pete," says Satan. "All right, listen. 10 years, I'll stay away from you, and I won't take you to hell in that 10 years. No. Even if I die in that 10 years, and even after that 10 years, you can't ever take me to hell, or I won't let you out of this tree." "Whatever," says Satan. "Just get me out of the tree." So Jack takes out his knife and he cuts the cross out of the tree, and Satan comes down, and he's just fitting to be tied. He says, "I don't want to see you again. I don't want to talk to you again. You get out of my face now." And off he goes. Poof, gone in a heartbeat. Well, Jack's feeling pretty good right now because he knows now he ain't ever going to hell. And he thinks this is the reason to celebrate. So he takes himself into the local pub, and he has a few, and he has a few more, and he has a few more. And the next thing you know, poor old Stingy Jack's dead on the floor. Killed himself with alcohol poisoning. Now, you guys might not think that's so awful bad since Stingy Jack ain't going to hell, but the problem is God had been watching all of this and he wasn't about to let him into heaven either. And now Stingy Jack had no place to go. So he has to go knock on the gates of hell. Come on, say nobody, let me in. I ain't got no place to go. Hell's better than nothing. Come on, let me in, please. And Satan says, I am never letting you in this place. And he picks up a red hot coal and he tosses it right at him. Well, Jack, he figured, wow, I'm out here in the darkness. This is awful. So he picked up that coal and he carved out a turnip. And he carved a face into it and he dropped that turnip down, or that coal down in that turnip. And that, my friends, is how old Stingy Jack became Jack of the Lantern, or as we call him today, Jack-o'-lantern.
Isn't the carved turnip just absolutely horrifying?
Absolutely.
I was hunting for that picture while you were telling the story. I'm like, I gotta find a good one before she stops. But a carved turnip is absolutely horrifying.
It is.
If I saw that like glowing and coming toward me down a dark road, I would run. Absolutely.
That is why they don't like old Jack-o'-lantern over in Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot of really cool Irish, like, have you ever heard of the Lady Gwen and her black pig?
Don't think I have. I'm usually up on my weird lore, but I don't think I know that one.
I did everything I could to find it an explanation for her on the internet, but there's nothing in depth other than the fact that she will find lone travelers in the night and stick her black pig on them and kill them. And of course, we all know about Doolahans and Pukas.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're cool. But, I mean, they're not cool. I wouldn't want to run into a Doolahan.
Richie Evans says, DA, do you know where trick-or-treat came from? The origin of trick-or-treating dates back to the Middle Ages, when Irish and Scottish children would put on clothes like costumes, usually whatever they could find, and they would go door to door, and they would either do like a little dance or a song or recite poems in exchange for food, and that was when things were pretty scarce. And as the tradition migrated to the United States, the first time it really became known in the United States was about in the 1920s. It started up in New England, and it became asking for treats instead of just asking for food, with kids again making their own costumes, and it just kind of evolved from there. And now it's now Halloween alone basically accounts for about 25% of the candy produced in the United States.
They used to call it mumming and guising.
Mumming and guising.
Mm-hmm. And at one time, and I don't think that this was, I think this was later on, but there was a period where they got the treats and the food when they went mumming and guising in return for prayers for the dead.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That one's all for you right there, from Jane Skidmore. Never heard the story told like that before. Loved it. Thank you for the story. Nail was an awesome storyteller.
I had to do that one
sounds
from
like
memory.
The Black Dog. Well, I think that was part of an earlier conversation. Northwoods cracked me up. He said the only thing more horrible than that carved turnip is my ass.
I really don't think I was married to you, Northwoods. I would have remembered.
Josh says, looks like Voldemort.
Yeah.
Lenita says, great story. Love that turnip. Well, you talk about a face that only a mother could love. Good Lord, that's horrifying.
It is. It really, truly is.
Ugh.
I'm so glad they switched to pumpkins when they came to the U.S. We found it a lot easier. And did you know that pumpkin carving was actually originally more associated with Thanksgiving?
I did
harvest.
Not know that.
Yeah, it was actually more of a harvest type thing than actual just Halloween.
We got a quick shout out to for super chat from Hooter Transport. Says Josh has the Squatch cooties.
I hope Josh is feeling better. I'm glad to see you're in the chat.
Definitely. Papa Bear says the words or saying trick or treat came from the Peanuts comics. Really? I did not know that.
Actually, he's kidding, I think, because actually it is a
It's a great
demand.
pumpkin, Charlie Pam. Northwood says you're a saint compared to my ex. Nayoka says it looks like a mummy.
Yeah, it does.
She's not wrong. It does look like a freaking mummy. It looks like something that's been mummified and buried for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
God, no wonder I hate turnips.
Oh, I love turnips. Turnips and turnip greens, two of my favorite foods.
Not a fan of turnips. I never have been.
But trick or treat really it is a demand. Kids would demand a treat, or people would expect to get tricked. It was so bad that at one point back in the early part of the 20th century, the older kids would dismantle buggies and put them up on top of haystacks and barns.
God, it sounds like us in high school.
Yeah, I never.
Only it wasn't buggies.
Yeah. So, and it became known as Mischief Night for a long time.
Nice. Bill Sloan says, best trick to play on someone after have my lunch stolen at work 3 to 4 days a week. I made a few caramel covered onions. That was the last good I had stolen. I might have worked at a place, but I won't say the name of it because somebody might remember, might be listening and remember. But I think Roger Jutras, if he's in the audience, he's heard this story before. It was years ago when I lived up in Lebanon. I kept getting my lunches stolen. And then I made a peanut butter and dog turd sandwich and stuck it in the refrigerator. Never had my lunch stolen again.
That is just disgusting. Thank you very much.
Broke them of the habit. Louis Noriega says, looks like the face of the Iron Mask. It does, kind of.
Yeah, it's pretty creepy.
Robert Miller, mail address posted to send candy to.
Yeah, if we have a Halloween night thing and we trick or treat, you guys going to send us candy?
That would be cool.
I have a preference for truffles. Just saying.
What is truffles? Is your favorite candy?
One of them. Like, have you seen me? People my size don't have a favorite candy. Are you kidding me?
Okay, I'm right there with you. I don't know if I could pick an absolute favorite.
Usually it's the one closest at hand.
Whatever's close. My son, it has to have something with peanut butter in it, or he won't touch it. Like Reese's Cups or Reese's peanut butter cups, stuff like that. Or I think my favorite would probably be. You remember they used to call them the Nestle $100,000 bar, but now it's called the $100,000. It's like chocolate and like Rice Krispies and caramel. I think that's probably my favorite.
That's a good one. I'll eat it.
I like that one. Northwoods Cryptid says it wasn't Halloween, but I got revenge on a guy by covering a black toilet seat with black shoe polish. That's awesome. Mark Napier says egging used to be so bad here, the fire department would hose egg off of cars going by on Main Street.
That is so sad.
Josh Solers Jones, Elf doesn't have sugar, then yes. All right, Josh, you may be onto something there.
I totally agree. I can't. It'd be easier for me to name candy bars and candies that I don't like.
Yeah, it's probably a much shorter list. I won't eat. I won't eat anything with mint. I can't stand mint. And I'll tell you why. Again, Stan Jutras is in the audience tonight. Will probably remember this story as well. When I was about 17. Don't be shocked, folks. Country kids sneak alcohol. I got so stupid drunk on peppermint schnapps that for like 10 years after that, the very smell of mint would make me want to throw up.
I can't drink peppermint schnapps to this day because I got drunk on it once. but it's just the schnapps. I love all kinds of peppermint, but not peppermint schnapps.
I can't do mint. Josh says no mint and no black licorice. Yeah, black licorice should be outlawed. That stuff's horrible. But I would take black licorice over candy corn. Ugh. I hate candy corn. It's neither candy nor corn.
Papa Bear's telling a story right now. He's lying. Mama was in the house. Mama remembers being called to the police department.
That's
police knew me by the first name basis. I've
never even heard of that one, Josh. Apparently there's a new candy bar called Whoozy What's It. It's my new favorite. It's a peanut butter version of a whatchamacallit. Oh, I like whatchamacallits. Those are good. They used to have a chocolate covered payday that was good as well, but I think they did away with that.
Yeah.
Jacob Hayes says my favorites are candy corn and candy apple. I like candy apple, but I just can't do the candy corn. It's like eating crayons.
I like candy corn. I like eating the very tip, and then I like eating the middle part, and I like eating the bottom.
Northwoods, I could tell you a story about Bacardi 151 and the reason I can't go to a certain hotel in St. Louis. But that's a long story. Josh says, same thing happened to me in root beer schnapps. Didn't drink root beer for almost 10 years. Yeah, military guys and alcohol poisoning, those kind of go hand in hand. He says, we can't be friends. Hey, see, we got somebody that agrees with me. Naoka doesn't like candy corn either. Bill Sloan says, normally buy about 10 pounds of Halloween candy every year. I lived here 7 years, still waiting on the first trick-or-treaters. That's kind of like us. My wife always buys a bunch of Halloween candy, and we get like 3. So this year she's going to give out like full-size candy bars to the 4 or 5 trick-or-treaters we managed to get. And I told her, I said, you mark my words. You start giving out full-size candy bars, they'll start texting their friends, and we'll have a line down the block. I'm going to be making a Sam's Club run.
Line. I'll be first in line, 10th in line, 13th in line, 27th in line.
Papa Bear, isn't a chocolate-covered payday a Baby Ruth? No, because there's a lot more caramel in a Baby Ruth than there is in a payday. And my wife is in the house. Hey, babe, thank you for joining us. She wasn't feeling good earlier. She was going to join us in the studio tonight, but she wasn't feeling well. Robert Miller says crayons are great snacks. The Marine chimes in.
Yeah, I heard that that's how they sign their induction papers, with crayons. Anyway.
Yeah, back to the history of Halloween. Hey, man, we Halloween history is wrapped up in candy. It comes in a little wrapper. You know, I've got a question. You know those little bitty like Snickers bars you get that are like that big, and they call them fun size. Who decided that was the fun size? That's not fun for me. It's more work. It's more work unwrapping it than it is the enjoyment out of it.
Fun size is like 3 of them just to get a bite.
Right. Fun size is like the king size one. That should be the fun size. I mean, I guess if the little bitty one's the fun size, I guess the king size is like Donkey Ride to Heaven or something.
Yeah, I do think that's a stupid name. I really do.
Josh says, whoever made candy corn and Valentine hearts is a demon of torture.
Yeah, I like Valentine hearts too. I'm waiting for one that I don't like to pop up so I can say, oh, I don't like that one. I haven't seen one yet.
Louis Noriega says, that's what I do. I give up full-size candy bars. Okay, lines forming at Louis's house. If he's giving out full-size candy bars, we're going to we're making a road trip to California.
Jacob Hayes, like the foot-size candy bars.
There you go.
Me too.
Werewolf 5674 says frozen Snickers. I never tried those. Are those good? I like ice cream. I mean, obviously, I'm a fat kid. I like ice cream, so I may have to try those.
I love
size candy bars at the Come and Go every year. One of the local. I don't know if you guys got Come and Go where you're at, but Come and Go is like we called them Stop and Robs when I was a cop. It's a convenience store. But they every year at Christmas and around this time of year, they start putting out these giant, like 5-pound candy bars. They're like $40. I'm like, Hey, somebody finally made a Snickers in my size.
Yeah. Oh God, that would be so cool. A Snickers that big.
Northwood says, I just sent you a full-size candy bar cartoon DA.
You know, I only eat like one candy bar a day. It's usually about that big, but about that big. Sorry, I had my sparkles in my hand.
Well, apparently Josh was afraid I didn't believe him because apparently it's a real deal.
Oh, look at that.
They make who's the what? Who thought that name up? Whatchamacallit. I've used the term whatchamacallit my whole life, but who thought up who's and what's it? Ain't nobody ever says that. I'm pure hillbilly, and we say whatchamacallit all the time. Like, you know, you're working on the car. Hey, hand me that whatchamacallit over there. You mean the Crescent Wrench? No, the other whatchamacallit.
I always said thingamajigger. The thingamajigger.
Yeah, said that one too.
Yeah. I'm sure who's what's it happened in a bar. That just sounds like a word that was invented in a bar.
Yeah, that sounds like a bar story right there.
About half an hour before closing time, someone was looking for the who's what's it so they could go home.
I got something cool in the mail today.
What did you get?
My buddy Ken Brock, who owns Brock Blades, and some of his knives are going to start showing up in stories as well as the Scallywags. I'm not going away from Scallywags. I still love those. But Ken is a knife maker. If you go to brockblades.com, you can check out his blades. He's got some freaking amazing stuff. They're all handmade. He's a retired cop, ex-soldier. Well, he had some leftover steel, and he made me a new Thor's hammer.
Ooh, cool.
It's hand forged Thor's hammer. I just got it today. And he also sent me a patch from my collection. Where did I put that patch? It's on my crowded desk somewhere. All right, I've lost the patch, but it's on my desk somewhere, so it's here. But he sent me a patch from his old department.
Hershey with almonds. Yep, I love Hershey with almonds. I tend to like almonds and candy. Chocolate and nuts is a good combination.
I used to joke and say that I wouldn't eat almonds because I wouldn't know if I was getting poisoned with arsenic or not.
Well, only if they taste bitter.
Marshall's in the house. Marshall Sirota, who won the book the other day.
Yeah.
He sent me a message that he'd gotten the book. He liked the decals too, so glad you liked them, man. Thank you.
Cool. Certain neighborhoods say it. Yeah, certain neighborhoods do a lot of things. Eat dark chocolate mint. Yep, nope. Still haven't found one I don't like. Keep naming them, guys. I'll come up with one I don't like eventually.
Josh Jones says, I just got my Wild Hunt notebook in the mail. Yeah, I forgot to mention those. We've got notebooks available now. She got her Sassy Chicken one. But if you go to my author page, let me pull up the author page. On Amazon, you can find everything I've got on the author page. Let me pull that up.
I want to know, while you're pulling that up, what is the creepiest thing that has ever happened to anyone on Halloween? And
that's a good question. That's a good
Anybody have anything really creepy happen to them on Halloween? Either cryptid related or ghost related or hey Sal, you're in the house. Anything like that? Anybody got any good stories? Anybody? Oh, was that on Halloween? Papa Bear says, you know the story of the beer. Let me explain the beer to you. My son and his two best friends were driving around back roads, as we country people tend to do a lot at night, and something crossed in front of their vehicle. And the argument was, my son said it was a deer, or maybe his friend said that. And the other one said it was a bear. And so they compromised and called it a beer. But it was a very large, it was furry, bulky animal with antlers.
The Ozarks howler.
Except they were in Illinois. But
I wouldn't
yeah,
rule it out.
they uh, they were telling me about it, and I questioned what kind of drugs they were doing. But it was they to this day, Lindsay, who is sort of the daughter of my heart, will swear to you that it happened. She didn't get to see it. She was in the back seat looking in the opposite direction. But it did. They saw something that was a cross between a bear and a deer, and it crossed the road in front of them. So they called it the beer.
Wonder if that could have been the howler. It's been described as a bear with antlers.
That's interesting. Now you know. Oh, it hit the truck, and my son called it a bear, and his friend called it a deer. And
Ozarks howler on vacation. Well, the Ozarks extend almost to St. Louis, so it really wouldn't be that far out of its range to be in southern Illinois, because there's still some heavily forested areas in southern Illinois.
True. Where we lived at the time was about 200 miles north of St. Louis, but I have made it from my home in Illinois all the way to St. Louis without ever getting off of a back road. So it's a lot of woods between. Do you want to read that out loud?
Louis Noriega says, we had an old lady come out of the house from my grandparents used to live, all dressed in black. And so it was like, it was a ghost. Imagine that was kind of terrifying.
Yeah. I actually had an old lady ghost in my house, in the farmhouse we lived in Illinois. She came up behind me, and I thought it was my son offering to help do dry the dishes. And I turned around to hand him a dish towel, and she was right there, and then she vanished right in front of me. Scared the whoozy what's it out of me.
Well, I would imagine it did. Troy says Necco wafers are horrible. He's not wrong.
What are Necco wafers?
They're like little discs of flavorless powdered, compressed powder that are supposed to taste like candy.
Okay, I know what they are. Yeah, I'll eat them. You got to give me one I absolutely won't eat. I can't think of it.
The one my mother used to eat and I can still see them like sometimes in grocery store aisles that I never could enjoy. She loved them, and once in a while she'd get one at the store, and I've tried them over the years before she passed away, and never could develop a taste for the things. It's those cherry mash things that looks like a little. You ever heard of them? It's a chocolate shell with like cherry flavored goo inside, and it's pretty horrible, and it's about as good as it sounds.
Like chocolate covered cherries?
Yeah, no, it's more like cherry whipped cream in the middle, but it's kind of slimy at the same time and a little stretchy. Like cherry nougat or something. I don't know what the hell it exactly is inside. It's vaguely cherry flavored. It's like a chocolate covered Luden's cough drop.
I thought of one
good.
I just thought of one that I will not eat. Real quick, Circus Peanuts. I don't like Circus Peanuts.
Yeah, those little things of weirdly flavored rubber. Yeah, those are nasty.
Yeah, rubber.
My grandmother used to give me those all the time, and I'd be like, I don't like these. Josh says, yeah, Circus Peanuts are gross.
Yeah, definitely.
Papa Bear says, this was by Matherville, Illinois. It was flat but no moon that night. Came out of the very deep ditch, hit the passenger front panel, and then went back to where it came from. I would like to have seen that. Laura Simmons says, I've lived in a haunted house before. Something said, hey, into my ear from behind one day. And while I was outside, faucet turned on by itself, doors closed by themselves. Creepy. You had me tell the tale of the little girl the other day. I wish I could get Annette to come on here and tell it, because she's the one that saw it. I saw it the one time. She saw it more than once.
Maybe she's feeling better. Annette,
Hopefully.
are you feeling better?
Hopefully.
Maybe you
Josh,
could
or maybe
tell
she'll
a
come on for
story?
Halloween because we are going to be telling stories then too.
Yeah, no Bolly
Josh,
wax Coke bottles.
those are gross.
I'm telling you.
It's like vaguely cola flavored chapstick. It's
I'm telling you, there's a reason I'm the steak.
And he says I don't like sugar-free gummies. I don't think anyone likes sugar-free
Not
gummies.
anymore. No,
Yeah,
I
we learned
used
our
to,
lesson. We learned our lesson the hard way. If anybody gets those, we'll send those to Steve.
but yeah, we will.
Steve gets all the sugar-free gummies. We get the rest.
Yeah, no
Papa
doubt.
Bear says also Black Cherry Lane always was a creepy trip on Halloween. Scared so many city kids on that road. It was my go-to.
Oh gosh, we had one kid. I never went anywhere that I couldn't take back roads and gravel roads. That was just my thing. I could get someplace on the interstate in half an hour. I'd rather take 4 hours on a gravel road. And I used to trade off with a mom. Well, she worked late, so I'd usually take her son to the baseball game so that he could get there on time. And sometimes I'd have to bring him home. And we were taking a gravel road back home one night. And there's this sharp turn, and there's this sort of, it's like a little compound. There's an old worn out house trailer, and there's an old worn out shack, and there's a lot of worn out vehicles. And there's always some really strange people sitting on the front porch of that shack. And it's the kind of place where you wouldn't go by, you hear and and they smile at you and say, you got a pretty mouth. And then you get past that, and you take another immediate turn on the road, and you go across one of the scariest, most rickety bridges you've ever seen. It's just crosses a little creek, but it was just about worn out. They finally replaced that bridge. Yes, that says, or Papa Bear says, strange. They look like the hills have eyes, people, and they did. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. These were some scary looking people. But anyway, they so we're going towards the house, and I'm telling his friend all about these people, and I'm like, and people have disappeared down on this road. They're really taking a chance taking you guys down this road at night. But as long as we keep moving, we'll be fine. As long as we don't stop the car, they can't catch us. And we hit the bridge, and I turned off the car and said, oh my God, the car died. I thought he was going to tear the back door off my car, because they have the automatic locks, and he started pounding and ripping and shaking that car door. I thought, this kid's going to rip the back door off my car. That was hilarious. A fun night. Yeah,
it's great to scare people.
Oh, it is, absolutely. Nothing more fun than scaring somebody.
I love creepy stuff. Louis Noriega says, yeah, Circus Peanuts are bad. I used to get them on clearance when I worked at Kmart, and I sent the bag and give them to the neighborhood kids' parents. Quit getting ad for the kids. All they're doing is just throwing it out in the street. Northwood Cryptid says, I'm guessing the old wheel and tire shop at the base I was at is haunted. A couple of guys were killed there when an aircraft tire exploded.
Wow.
I saw a guy knocked across a shop by a truck tire one time. It didn't kill him, but he ended up going to the hospital. He was inflating a big semi tire, and it exploded while he was filling it, and it tore him up. It threw that guy probably 20 feet across the way and into a wall. Amazing what air pressure can do. Lewis says, then the crows moved in and started picking them up off the street. Well, crows ain't picky. They'll take it.
Yeah.
Pop Bears are strange. They look like the hills have eyes, people.
They did too. They were some scary looking people.
Lenita says, buy a lot of candy you like and turn off the light early. My wife has a long history of going out the day after Halloween when the clearance starts, and we've got Halloween candy for a month. And people wonder why I look like this.
Well, Dolly Parton always says it takes a whole lot of money to look this cheap. Well, I'm telling you, it takes a whole lot of candy to look this voluptuous. Just saying. Just saying.
To quote Cartman, I'm not fat, a big boned.
Yeah. They're going to dig me up someday and they're going to find one of those giant. They're going to be like, oh, we found another giant of Kandahar. It'll really just be my skeleton in my grave.
That's terrible.
Well, if I'm big boned. If that's what's causing this. I think it's a broken elbow. Every time I bend it, I open my mouth.
Got carpal tunnel from eating.
I'll tell you something really sad. I actually have arthritis in my jaw. I'm pretty sure I wore it out eating.
Too much
or talking.
No, mine's from talking.
Yeah.
Ask my wife. I talk all the time. She can't get me to shut up. If I ain't talking, I'm snoring.
I can shut up. I know when to shut up. All you got to do is tell me to shut up. Don't have to tell me twice to shut up. I shut up and I'll stay shut up. One time I nearly starved to death. Mama told me to keep my mouth shut and I wouldn't tell her I was hungry. It's my favorite foghorn leghorn.
Louis Noriega says, yeah, that was a good day's working for retail, buying all the Halloween candy, Christmas candy on clearance. Summer, I was like 5 cents a bag.
Wow. Okay, back to Halloween. Well, you know, it's not unusual for us to go off the rails. So what's
we're
the creepiest
unsupervised.
thing that ever happened to you on Halloween?
The weirdest thing that ever happened to me on Halloween. Mm-hmm. I've had some weird crap happen through the years. I went to a Halloween party one night down by the river, down by the Niangua River outside Lebanon. And I was about 20, 21, somewhere around there. And it was just starting to turn chilly. So I had my leather jacket on, you know, jeans, boots, the whole spiel for riding when it's chilly. But I had an open-faced helmet, this little skull cap helmet. I didn't get the helmet with the full face till, well, it wasn't long after this incident, to be honest. And I was riding home, and this isn't really a ghost story. It just scared the living crap out of me. And we'd been partying out at a place. I'm sure Stan Jutras will remember this. We used to go out there with Bob Sides, a place called the Big Eddie. We had a big Halloween bonfire out there and had a good old time. And I was coming back, and it was pretty late. And I was coming up the highway heading toward Bennett Springs. And about the time I hit I was on 64, old 64 highway. About the time I hit the Bennett Springs Bridge, a bat was diving after a bug, and it hit my helmet. And its wing got stuck in that little visor flap, and it's in my face going, and I was all over that road with that motorcycle. And I was running probably 75 miles an hour. And I screamed, the bat screamed. I slid the bike sideways, the bat screamed. I screamed. I ditched the bike, the bat's still screaming. I'm still screaming. I'm running all over the place trying to get this helmet off. And before I can get the helmet loose, the bat flipped up and got its wing loose and took off. And I'm still running around swinging my hands, screaming like a crazy man. And a McLean County deputy sheriff stops, gets out of his car and goes, "What the hell's wrong with you?" Because I just jumped off the bike in the ditch. And I said, a freaking bat got stuck in my helmet. He goes, "Did it bite you?" I'm like, "I don't know."
Do you need rabies shots now?
I didn't have any blood on me or any marks where it had bit me, but god dang. It was like stuck, like swinging back and forth in my face. And every time it would get in front of me and go, I'd scream. I never got off a motorcycle so fast in my life.
That's funny.
Fortunately, I got it slowed down enough where I could ditch it safely, but I was ready to jump off that bridge into the Niangua at that point.
That's actually hilarious. I'm sorry, that's not creepy. That's hilarious.
It
doesn't count.
I thought I was going to mess my drawers before that thing got loose.
Oh shoot! Well, we'll give you that. That was a creepy thing to have happen on Halloween.
It was scary. It wasn't necessarily creepy, but it was scary.
Well, I have one.
Go for it.
When I was a teenager, my mom and dad got divorced. I was the youngest. So I was the only one from a broken home. And my mom moved into an apartment in town. And the apartment building was right next to a cemetery. And for the record, the best neighbors you can ever have are the people in a cemetery because they don't say a word. But I used to have my friends drop me off in the cemetery, and I would cross over into the apartment that way rather than go down this. Our apartment was at the end of a cul-de-sac, and there were always cars parked there. It was hard to turn around, and our parking lot for our apartment building wasn't very good. And so I'd have them pull over into the cemetery, and I'd just walk across. And anyway, of course, my friends all thought that was really creepy and weird. And so, we got to where we would walk around the cemetery, and I'd tell my stupid, scary stories. And one night I happened to, being especially frisky that night, decided I would lay on a grave because, the older graves in a cemetery tend to sink in a little. Mm-hmm. And I lay down on the grave and put my hands over, and I'm looking up, and the ground moved underneath me.
Grab your ankle?
All I felt was just the earth kind of crumbled underneath me. I'm guessing that my weight must have finished off whatever decaying was going on down there, but I felt the ground move underneath me, and I don't think anybody ever moved so fast in their life as I did to get out of that little shallow indent in the ground.
Well, I can't imagine I would have done anything less. I probably would have climbed the nearest tree.
Yeah, I thought it was really going to be a great Halloween night, but that pretty much ended it for me. I was done. I didn't want to play Halloween anymore. So, yeah, that was probably the creepiest thing that ever happened to me on Halloween.
When I was a kid, that was one of the big things that we would always do is after we were done trick-or-treating, we'd go drive around and look at scary places. And in Leclerc County, there's a bunch of really creepy old places. There's the old haunted cemetery out on, I think it's called Lonesome Hill, the old Lonesome Hill Cemetery. There's a place outside of town they call the Foundation of Doom. The story behind that is sometime back in the 1800s, before Lebanon was much of a town, when it was more of just like a trading post, that the people that lived there would kill travelers and bury them beneath the house and keep their goods. And when they were finally caught, they were hung. But the Foundation of Doom is still supposed to be extremely haunted. What are you singing?
I felt the earth move under my feet. The sky was tumbling down, tumbling. I should not be allowed to sing. I'm sorry.
I think it's hilarious.
Actually, I felt it under my back, if you want to be technical about it. It was underneath my back. Not the small of my back. It was.
What were you doing laying on a grave?
I was just messing with my friends who were like, oh, this is so creepy. It's Halloween and it's a bad night to be out here. And I was like, oh, you big babies. Look, and I laid down. Whatever was under was like, yeah, we'll see who the big baby is. It was just, I don't know what happened, but it felt like the earth was sort of just crumbling under my back. And for a second, I thought I was going to be swallowed up into the grave.
Well, that's a legitimate concern, especially when those old graves, like some of them were buried with no vault and just an old pine box. Some of them would collapse. So you legitimately could have dropped down into a grave.
And I think that what happened was my weight, and I wasn't, I hadn't had so many candy bars at that point in my life. I wasn't a big girl at the time, but my weight was enough to cause whatever was down there to kind of compress a little more. And I felt the earth kind of crumble underneath me. And fun night. Good times.
It's kind of like the joke. This guy was walking home late one night. He takes a shortcut through the cemetery, and these two teenage girls walk up next to him. They're like, we're taking the shortcut, but we're scared. Do you mind if we walk with you? He's like, that's fine. No problem. He said, I was scared too when I was alive.
It's like when I used to pick up hitchhikers. Aren't you afraid I'm a serial killer? Do you know what the odds of two serial killers being in the same car are? Yeah, you get a lot of strange looks when you use that line. But anyway, yeah, the person said they were going to the alcohol. Oh, cool. I was going to tell you, we had a house out by where we lived. It was on a back road that looked exactly like the Addams family house. And it was abandoned, and it was a favorite place for people to wander.
That would be a great house to restore. I would totally live in a house like that.
Yeah,
Northwood said, "Did you need a change of clothes after that, Naomi?"
I actually probably did. Yeah, it scared me. It was a come to God moment.
Not that I would ever lay on a grave, but if I ever did lay on a grave and I felt the ground shift underneath me, it's not going to be an earth angel. It's going to be a poop angel because I'm going to be trying to get up after I crap myself.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
That is going to be a absolute butt puckering moment.
It was. It absolutely. It was a very. I've never been quite normal anyway, but it made me question my own thoughts for a little while there. I thought maybe I shouldn't be playing around with this stuff. Just say it.
Yeah, it never stopped us. We were idiots.
But that old Addams family house, oh, that was so cool. And the fire department burned it down for practice.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, made everybody cry. It was such a neat house. I mean, it looked exactly like the Addams family house or the Psycho house, which I think is the same, one and the same.
One of the guys I used to drink beer with up in Lebanon, I don't want to give away his name because he may not like me giving it away, but he had this really cool old Monte Carlo, and he maintained that car. That was the love of his life. I will never be in love with a woman the way he was in love with that car. But he lovingly maintained this car. Well, the Foundation of Doom was outside town. A bunch of us decided we were going to go out there and play with the Ouija board and see what happened. And I'm an idiot. I'm usually down for stuff like that. So we go out there, and I don't remember if it was on Halloween, but I know it was in the fall of the year because it was cool at night. And it's pretty late. A bunch of us hop in his car, and it's one of those old cars with the bent seats. So there was like 8 of us crowded into this car. And so we go out to the Foundation, and we all pile out and hop the fence. It's private property. I mean, we weren't supposed to be there. So we hop the fence, and we go over to the Foundation. We set up the Ouija board, and we start messing with it. And it's I don't know if you guys use the Ouija board, but we're asking questions, and it's just moving. It's not stopping anywhere. It just keeps moving in circles, and we're accusing each other of being the one that's making it move. And it's just it's not going to yes, no. It's not answering anything. But and it just seems to be like it's confused, or maybe everybody at the
much peppermint schnapps,
maybe a little bit too much of that, or as one person thought, it was possibly all of the spirits at that Foundation trying to talk at once.
Give me that! No, I want to say it. No. Yeah. I'm sorry.
I want to talk to the drunk hillbillies. But we're sitting there messing with it, and there was 4 of us with our hands on it. And I gave up, and I let go of it, and they're still trying to get an answer out of it. And I look out, and across the road, Rick's car is parked just right by the fence. And I look across the road, and there's this field, and it's just an empty field pasture. And I look out, and there's a wall of fog in that field, and it's rolling right toward us. And I start smacking my buddy on the shoulder, the guy with the car, and I'm like, "Hey, look at that!" He's like, "I'm busy." I'm like, "Dude, look at that." He's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Dude, look at that." And he finally looks up, and this wall of fog has covered half of the length of that field in like 10 seconds. And I'm like, it's coming right at us. So everybody starts freaking panicking. We all pile down the hill, hop the fence, jump back in his car. It won't start.
Oh.
And this is a car he lovingly maintained. And he's freaking out. He said, "This never done this before." Whoa. And meanwhile, the fog's getting closer. It's getting closer. It's getting closer. And it reaches the fence, which is about 20 feet away. The car finally catches. And he slams it in drive and punches it. We fishtailed heading down the road. And I looked back in the rearview mirror, and the fog was gone.
Wow.
No, it was actually the side mount mirror. There was no fog. No fog in the field, no fog anywhere, but we watched it coming at us.
Wow. That is just...
Laura Simmons says, Ouija boards probably not to be messed with, just like Robert the Doll. Some things are best left alone. I agree with you now, but I was young and stupid at the time. Okay, I was younger and stupider at the time. I've learned a little bit, but I don't mess with them anymore. But yeah, it scared the crap out of us.
Yeah, I don't mess with Ouija boards either. But Robert the Doll is one of my favorite stories. I love that interesting story.
I do like that Robert story. Luis Noriega says, Knott's Berry Farm has a Boot Hill cemetery that is a grave that thumps if you put your foot on it. I wonder if it's a pressure sensor, if they set it up that way, or if it's an actual haunting. Papa Bear says they were tired of kids scaring other kids there. Too many running across the cornfields and ending up in the town exhausted.
But it was a cool house. I hated to see it go. One night, we lived up in later in life. My first husband and I lived in a little town we're outside of a little town called Oxford Junction, Iowa. And we lived down the gravel road that you live down, that you have to take 2 other gravel roads to get to. I mean, we were way back in the no man land on this little farm. And my older son, the one that's in the chat room tonight, and I were coming home. And it was 2 really big hills that we had to go down. And we started down the first big hill. And it was really a neat little thing. It had these really great old growth trees with, the gnarly arms. And it was about this time of year. It wasn't Halloween, I don't think, but it was about this time of year. And I think we'd been to Iowa City. I'm not sure. In any case, as we were coming down the hill, we looked across, and there was a fog kind of hanging about midway up the hill. And in the fog was the perfect image.
Thanks, Patty. Sorry.
Of a white woman. A woman. I mean, it was just a white, like sort of an angelic looking woman. Mm-hmm. And I stopped the car and I said to my son, "Are you seeing this?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, what do you think that is?" I mean, it was a perfect image the fog had formed a perfect woman. And he's like, "I don't know." And I said, "Well, you think we should drive through it?" And he says, "Well, yeah." So we did, but it was the creepy. I wish I'd had a camera because it was just so bizarre looking, that woman just hanging there in the air, just floating there.
That is creepy as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Patty Figueroa, super chat. You can support this YouTube channel just like this. Awesome. Thank you, Patty. Northwoods Cryptid says, did you have any creepy calls when you went on when you were a cop, DA? I've got a couple that I think you guys would get a kick out of. When I was a deputy with the county, the local county, in my Ragnarok books, you'll recognize it as Nathaniel County, but it's actually Greene County. Part of what they would do is if there was any of the county buildings alarms went off, you would get dispatched to check it out. So 2:00 in the morning one night, 3 in the morning, it's late. We get an alarm call, and guess where it's at? The county morgue.
Ooh.
So I go bipping over to the county morgue, have a buddy meet me over there. And we go around we started at the front door of the building, made sure it was secure, and went in opposite directions. Well, I get to the back side of the morgue. There are no vehicles at the morgue. Nobody's supposed to be there at this time of night. I get to the back and I'm checking doors and checking windows, make sure nothing's broken, so I can go ahead and call dispatch and clear the alarm. I get to the back, which goes into the actual cooler part of the morgue, and I grab the door and it goes, whoosh. And I'm like, I've got to clear the morgue. So I call dispatch. I'm like, I've got an unsecured door at the morgue. I'm going in. And I step through the door, and you clear a building with your weapon out because you have to treat it as a hostile situation. I'm stepping through the door, and I am in the process of drawing my pistol when the coroner comes around the corner with a sandwich in his hands, and he screams, and I swear to God, I almost shot that man. I'm like, what the hell is going on? He's like, I forgot the alarm code. I'm like, well, you just about got shot. Next time, call us.
I think I told you that my dad my grandfather ran a funeral home, and that my dad knew how to embalm bodies when he was a kid. And when he was about 13 or 14, he went up to St. Louis for the summer to work at because back then there wasn't apparently any law that said he couldn't. He went up to work at a funeral home in St. Louis for the summer for extra money. And they were pretty busy, you can imagine St. Louis, bigger town. And they had the inspector come through, and the guy decided, the guy that ran the morgue part, decided that he didn't like this inspector. He's always having problems with him. The guy was always giving him a hard time. So he decided that he would play a joke on him. A lot of people probably know this now, but back in the day, most people didn't realize that human bodies, well, any living body, once it dies, doesn't necessarily stop moving. Gases escape, they groan, muscles contract, they move. And when you work in a morgue, you're used to that. But if it's not something you're used to, it can be a little bit disturbing. And one of the things that they knew about this particular inspector was that he was a bit of a coward. And even though he knew that these things would happen, he was easily scared. So they decided to play a trick on this guy. They had a line of basically beds in the cooler. I mean, this was before they had the shelves and they pulled them out. And there was about 3 or 4 bodies laying on there. And the guy that ran the the funeral home, told my dad, go lay on the last bed and cover up. And when the inspector comes down the line, right before he gets to you, sit up. And my dad's like, ooh, this is going to be fun. So he goes down and pulls up a cart, and he lays on it, and he puts the sheet up over his head, and he's laying there real quiet, and he can hear the inspector coming, and they're talking, and they're going over different things. The guy gets to about 2 beds before him, and the guy next to my dad sat up, which of course made my dad jump off of his table because he wasn't expecting. And now the inspector's got 2 bodies moving around the nursing home or the funeral home, and one of them actually got up and started walking. He got up and left. He couldn't take it.
I don't blame him. I told people anytime I had to clear the morgue. So if I got to clear that morgue, anything sets up getting shot in the head. I've read zombie books. I know how this ends.
Yeah.
We got a super chat from Laura Simmons. Thank you very much. You are awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Josh says, since we're on the topic, Patty Figueroa and I will be starting a new paranormal show probably in January. That's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see that, Josh. Sal Passos has a question. Naomi, that is so true. I was doing removal from a nursing home to the funeral home, and the damn body set up in the back of the removal car. I think I would have abandoned the vehicle while it was still rolling.
They do, though. They'll move around. They'll do all kinds of crazy things.
I went to help because when I worked at the hospital, security had to release all the bodies. We had to sign them out. There was a form we had to fill out and verify their credentials of the people that were picking up the body, because they didn't want us releasing bodies to, somebody that wasn't supposed to be picking up bodies. But, there's some weird people out there. I'm sure somebody out there is going to try to pick up a body that they're not supposed to get. But anyway, security had to verify all the paperwork and verify the IDs and everything. So I go to help move a body over, and grab one end of the body bag, and he grabs the other, and we slide it over onto the cart. And his cart was a little lower than the other one, so when it hit, it goes. And I'm like, "Was that you?" He goes, "That was the body." I'm like, "Do they do that?" He goes, "Once in a while, but it still freaks me out." And he goes to verify the body. And in order to verify a body, you take the paperwork you have and you check it against the toe tag. So he unzips the bag, and I swear to God, that was the worst smelling thing I think I've ever smelled in my life. I was like,
the only thing worse than a fart is a zombie fart.
We called it the death fart. Oh, so bad. Oh.
Igor. Don't release any bodies to a short guy with a hump on his back. Igor. Unless the body's name is Abby.
Abby Normal.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of my description. If he looks like Marty Feldman with the bug eyes, don't give him the body. I have a hump? I love that movie.
Me too. My all-time favorite moment, though, is put the candle back. Okay, put the candle back, and then remove it, and then put it back. And then she does, and then you hear her, put the candle back. I love that scene. I will pull that up on YouTube and just watch that scene.
I love
It
that
makes me
movie.
happy.
Josh says, "Cop, so sir, why did you light the car on fire in the middle of the freeway?" Driver, well, the dead body set up, so here we are.
Oh, shoot.
Sal Paso says, I swear this is true. My first visit to a morgue, I met the morgue attendant whose name was Nettie. He was about 4'4", hunchback with the face of a leprechaun. Walk this way, sir.
Oh, shoot.
Lewis, Werewolf 5674 said the dead fart a lot. That still freaks me out, but when they groan, because there's still air trapped in the lungs, yeah.
Or gas will escape from the body up through the larynx and do the same thing. Yeah. He's dead now.
Cause of death, heart attack. Then why is all these bullet holes in his head?
Exactly.
Sorry, got a little scared. It's all right. He groaned at me. Wasn't taking any chances.
It's all good. He was dead anyway. They can't accuse you of murder, right?
It's just abuse of a corpse at that point. Unlawful discharge of a firearm.
But it's not murder.
Nope. It's not a capital crime. Josh says, well, I plan on editing, but I'm a little distracted. Well, I'm glad we're distracting.
Yeah.
Papa Bear says, I was stationed at Fort Riley, which I think is one of the top 500 active posts in the U.S. On Halloween, you can go and you might catch Custer 7th doing a parade on the parade. On the main parade ground. That's wild.
Shoot him again.
No kidding. Josh says, you guys are crazy. I love it. Well, the other weird story I have, and I don't remember if it was exactly on Halloween, but I was reserve patrol officer for the Walnut Grove Police Department, which is about 20 miles northwest of Springfield, and it's a small town. Back during the big cholera epidemics in the late 1800s, it was a railroad hub. It was a nexus point for railroads, and they would bring train car loads of bodies from St. Louis and Kansas City to Walnut Grove. So right by their little cemetery is like half a dozen mass graves where these victims of the cholera were buried in just huge mass graves, and you can still see them. I mean, you can see the indention in the ground where these huge pits were dug where all these bodies were placed. Well, it's a little bitty town, about 600 people. You can drive around the whole town in about 20 minutes. No, not even that. I mean, like 10. Well, I was driving around one night, and I got tired of just driving around wasting gas. So I pulled in on the side of the road and thought I'd just watch and see if anybody was driving. It's late, middle of the night, nothing going on. I'm bored. So I figure I'm just going to sit on the side of the road and knock out a couple of bits of paperwork. So I'm sitting there, kind of my attention's kind of half on the MDT next to me. It's a mobile data terminal. My attention's kind of focused on that. And I realized where I was parked. I looked, and I was parked right across the street from that cemetery with those mass graves. And I'm looking over at it, and I've got the windows down, and the engine's still running. And it wasn't like the Foundation of Doom. It wasn't like fog rolling toward me, but I see fog starting to rise in the cemetery, and I'm like, I need to be somewhere else right now. I just put it in gear and got out of there. It was my chief is the one that took me over there and showed me the mass graves, and he was telling me the history of around the graveyard and stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's creepy as hell. I bet there's all kinds of ghosts here, and I didn't realize that's exactly where I parked. Like, yeah, time to be somewhere else. Anywhere else.
Yes. No matter how much I beg, do not open that door. My husband, I'm sorry. We'll do Sal first.
He says, please, Mr. Custer, I don't want to go.
I was seeing that a minute ago. Yeah, my husband on Saturday nights, I'm in the bedroom at my desk. On Wednesday nights, I'm out here in the living room with my antlers on top of my head, and he has this this ongoing gag, whereas he's closing the door to come out here so I can broadcast in peace.
Coffee number 2.
Ooh, and he says, "No matter what I hear, I will not open the door." No matter what you say, I will not open the door. That's his favorite scene too.
Lewis and Arya was an old movie back in the early 80s called The Fog. Great movie, by the way. There's a bunch of pirates killing people over the New England port. Yeah, the original had Hal Holbrook in it, and I think Barbara Hershey was in it. That was a creepy movie. Wasn't Barbara Hershey or someone else?
No, it was
I know Hal
Big
Holbrook
Booby
was the
Girl.
priest. It was
Big
who?
Booby Girl. She was on Maude. Adrienne Barbeau.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, big breasts.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Well, when I do
God
it,
love
it's
you.
not sexist, but when you do it, it's a bad thing.
So I can't
So
make
I thought
that comment.
I would just
Like,
cover the.
yeah, okay, we'll go with that. But yeah, that movie's creepy as heck. They made a remake of it, which was not nearly as good.
Jamie
If
Lee
you haven't
Curtis
seen,
was in that too, by the way.
yeah, that's right. Jamie Lee Curtis, she was pretty young in that too.
Mhm.
That was not long after Halloween came out.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was when she was just starting to get noticed. Yeah, that's a great movie. If you haven't seen it's John Carpenter did it. If you had a chance to watch The Fog, watch the original because the remake is kind of passable.
I have both of them here at the house.
You have
Over
both
there.
the new one,
Both
the old one,
movies.
and the new one.
Mhm. Yeah.
I don't think I have them. Werewolf is responding to you. Laura Simmons says, "Love the original Fog movie. That was such a good movie."
That was from Young Frankenstein.
Yes, it was. Frau Blucher.
I didn't get that when I was a kid.
I didn't get the intent behind it, but Blucher is the German word for glue. So every time they'd say Frau Blucher, the horses would be like, horses don't want to go to the glue factory. But
Yeah,
I think
that's
the implied joke was that she was doing something to the horses.
Yeah. We'll go with the glue factory.
Yeah, we'll go with the glue factory.
Now I know what to tell my grandkids.
Yeah, Blucher means glue. Northwood says, I haven't watched a single horror movie since I got divorced. You already been through the horror movie?
I'm telling you, we haven't been married. I don't know why you're so confused.
Ace Banner 007 says, I think the new one is called The Mist. I think The Mist is a different one. That's by Stephen King. That's based on a story by Stephen King. It's got Tom Jane in it. Other than really ending badly, well, sometimes the monsters win, but other than ending badly, The Mist was really a good movie. I think the story, the written story, was much better, but I tend to think the book is better than the movie anytime.
Yeah, I agree. My mind outdoes all directors' imaginations.
I
Should
agree.
be a director.
You should totally. You should direct my movies. There we go. We
will.
need now. Okay, we need a Kickstarter. We're going to need about 30 million,
Give or take.
give or take.
Yeah. If we get to 40, we won't say anything.
There, yeah, absolutely. Everything else is just bonus. We'll add more special effects.
That's right.
Josh Jones says, a few movies we don't watch in this house: Poltergeist, Event Horizon, The Darkness Falls. My wife loves Darkness Falls. I love that movie too. It's the one about the creepy version of the Tooth Fairy. Oh, that's a creepy movie. Event Horizon, also a fantastic movie. Poltergeist, it scared me as a kid, but not so much as an adult. But it did kind of wick me out when I found out they were using real skeletons in the pool scene.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. I thought that was one of the funniest movies I'd ever seen in my life. I laughed all the way through it. Oh my God. That guy's pulling his face off. I thought that was hilarious.
The Exorcist still kind of creeps me out. Because that's based on a true story. It happened here in Missouri, up in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
Lewis Noriega says, what about the movie Behind the Green Door? It was with the lady that used to come out and Nanny and the Professor. I don't think I've seen that one. It sounds kind of familiar.
Behind the Green Door? I know Behind the Green Door, but it had Marilyn Chambers in it. It was
wrong. I think you're thinking of the wrong movie.
Okay, I'm just saying.
Lewis says The Mist was a great movie. Had a few people from The Walking Dead in it. I didn't know that. I hadn't put two and two together on that. I'm usually pretty good about it.
See? Papa
Laura
Bear
7 says, I love the
good.
Bigfoot movie Willow Creek. If you guys haven't seen Willow Creek, that is a creepy ass movie. It is really good. You should watch it. It's it was directed by Bob Goldthwait. Cut! No! Do it again! I couldn't do a movie with him. Could you knock it off, Bobcat? Actually, I saw him on a talk show, and he was just talking absolutely normal. And they were asking him about his role in Police Academy and how they used to do that weird voice. And he said, not too long ago, somebody gave me an original script from Police Academy, and even I didn't know what the hell I was saying.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I've had nights.
Josh says, I feel like Poltergeist and Event Horizon are a few of those movies that open spiritual doors. Could be. Event Horizon is absolutely creepy. You don't get horror and sci-fi together often. I mean, Alien, obviously, Alien, the Alien series. And there are a few B-grade horror sci-fis, but that was one I really considered really good horror sci-fi.
It's really interesting.
The same movie you did.
I'm gonna look it up. I'll be right back.
Sal Paso says, right pew, wrong church. Behind the Green Door. Apparently, I'm watching different movies than you, Naoma.
Marilyn Chambers, Johnny Keys, Jim Mitchell, Behind the Green Door. A beautiful woman is abducted and initiated into a live. Well, we won't tell the rest of the story, but it is definitely pornographic. So there you go.
So put that up there with movies my wife won't let me watch.
Behind the Green Door and Deep Throat were like two of the most, that and Debbie Does Dallas are the three most legendary porn films in history.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. And we are so off the track at this point.
Yeah, there's no way, shape, or form Halloween. That's definitely the trick side of trick or treat.
This train no longer has a track.
But anyway, the crazy train.
Yep, that's the Green Door werewolf nose.
Okay, well, when we go to the hot place, at least we'll have company.
Yeah.
I'll be. You guys can look for me. I'll be the guy carrying the terrifying jack-o'-lantern.
There you go. We'll be wandering in the dark with turnips. Oh shoot! Well, there are a lot of really cool Irish folklore stories that we really need to do an entire episode on that.
I would like to get that guy. I can't remember. He's a cryptozoologist. He's from Ireland. He specializes in the fairies. I would like to get him on the show because I find that fascinating.
Sal wants to know if we ever discussed Samhain tonight.
I think briefly at the beginning when you were having internet trouble, but it's kind of gotten sidetracked from there.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Why is the veil so thin on that night?
I don't know why that night in particular. I think it has something to do with the equinoxes. Because that's the harvest equinox, and when seasons turning to winter has always been symbolic of death, and the spring equinox has always been symbolic of rebirth of life. So it's probably has to do with the season of death or winter, the cold dark of winter, and I think that's probably where that originally came from. But the veil thinning, I, you know, that could very well be a legit thing. Um, and I wonder, you know, they say that the human bodies generate their own energy. We all have electrical impulses that run our brains, and that may very well be the soul, because those impulses stop upon death. And since the laws of physics say that energy cannot be created or destroyed, that energy's got to go somewhere. So maybe the veil is just like the next dimension or the next incarnation of life. Um, I don't know, kind of philosophical there, but it might explain it. It might explain why Lewis Rodriguez is in the Matrix. Yeah, I get reloaded into a new body. Hopefully this one's better and less aches and pains. Laura Simmons says also love the original Halloween movie, although some of the sequels are pretty good. Yeah, some of the sequels are pretty good, but the first one it's hard to top that one. And Rob Zombie certainly didn't succeed in topping it, although it was a pretty good movie in and of itself.
Speaking of Rob
it
Zombie,
wasn't the original Halloween.
One of my absolute all-time favorite movies is White Zombie.
Mm-hmm. That's an old classic.
Oh my gosh, I love that movie. And every now and then I'll bring it up and watch it on YouTube. I would love to own it. We have a really cool bookstore here in Nashville called McKay's. It's a used bookstore, and it's the size of a warehouse. It's massive. And they have aisle upon aisle upon aisle of used DVDs. And they actually have an entire aisle of old black and white movies, which is the aisle I always go to. And I got my copies of Frankenstein and the Werewolf and the Mummy and Creature from the Black Lagoon. Those are the movies that I love to watch. The Wolfman, not the werewolf, the Wolfman. Dracula. I love those old black and white movies. I love the old Universal horror movies.
Mm-hmm. Mark Napier says the original Thing. That was a great one.
It was actually called The Thing from Outer Space.
Really?
Mm-hmm. The original was. And you know who the Thing was? Mm-mm. James Arness.
Matt Dillon?
Played the original Thing in the original The Thing from Outer Space.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Laura Simmons says, love the Creature from the Black Lagoon.
One of my favorites.
What's everybody's favorite werewolf movie? We're talking creepy cryptid. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be Dogman. It doesn't have to be a true werewolf. But what is your favorite werewolf movie?
I have 3. I love the original Wolfman. I love poor old Lon Chaney Jr., who was so reluctant. And I also love Murray Ospens. I can't even say her last name. Ospenskyia. She was the one who's, whoever is bitten by a wolf and lives becomes himself a wolf. She was like 60 years old when she started acting and then died when she was 70. But then the next 2 are tie for me. I love American Werewolf in London, and I love The Howling. Those are my 3 favorites.
Louis Noriega likes the original Werewolf with Lon Chaney. Papa Bear says Silver Bullet, the greatest werewolf movie ever made.
That was a good one.
Chris Miller says Dog Soldiers. That was a great movie. Laura Simmons says American Werewolf in London. All great choices. Have any of you guys seen the British werewolf movie? It's called Howl. Howl. Just Howl. It's set on a train. That is a great movie. It quickly became one of my favorite werewolf movies. They did tension really well. You didn't see the werewolves very clearly, and you didn't get to see them very close until toward the end of the movie. But they did tension so well, and it was really a good movie. Even my wife enjoyed it. We definitely like that. Dog Soldiers is fantastic. They're making a sequel to that finally. Dog Soldiers is absolutely fantastic film. The original Howling is going to be always one of my favorites. It was just so well done. Wolfen was good. American Werewolf in London. Oh my, so many great werewolf movies. I'm not even sure I could pick one as my favorite, but I would definitely say Howl and The Howling are both very high on that list.
There was
Bill
one
Sloan
that
said,
oh, go ahead.
oh, I was just going to read the comment. Bill Sloan says, the funny thing about the original Thing, it walked slow and stiff-legged throughout the movie until the end. They threw something at his feet and he quickly jumped.
I wouldn't want to throw anything at James Arnett's feet. He might get mad at me.
Might shoot you.
Yeah.
Matt Dillon never missed, man. Come on now.
Nope. There was a werewolf movie, and it was horribly panned, and everybody makes fun of it. And I have a reason for loving it, but it actually had, and I wish I could think of the name of it. It had Jack Nicholson and
Wolf of Wall Street, or was it just
No.
Wolf?
I think Wolf of Wall Street was not a werewolf movie.
Oh, that's right.
Was a good one, but not a werewolf movie.
Would have been more interesting if it had been.
I think it was Wolf.
Jack Nicholson, yeah,
and
James Spader.
Yes, and he peed on his shoe. I loved it. But the reason that I love that movie is because I love the house that. What was her name? I cannot think of her name. The beautiful blonde lady that was in all the cool 80s and 90s movies. But I loved the house that she lived in on the grounds. And to this day, I would still live in that house because it was so cool. Yeah, it was Wolf.
I'm looking it up on IMDb to see who the actress was.
Yeah. She always said she looked like a duck. She always thought her face looked like a duck. I can see her perfectly. She was in a really great movie with
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer, yes. With
Oh, Papa Bear was right there with me. He got Michelle Pfeiffer too.
yeah. My brain doesn't function like it used to. Not enough candy these days.
You're having a severe candy withdrawal symptoms.
Yeah.
Have you seen? It's a fairly recent release. I think it's been released within like the last 6 months. It's got the girl from the AT&T commercials, Lily. It's called Werewolf Within. Have you seen that one?
Mm-mm.
Low budget. The basic plot of the movie is good. My big complaint is that you never got to see the werewolf transformation. It was just treated as something that was an afterthought. And you didn't even see her become the werewolf. Sorry, spoiler there. Until the very end, and it happened way in the background. To me, the whole beautiful part of a werewolf movie is that transformation scene.
By the way, he's about to spoil the movie for you, so plug your ears. Oh, is that too late? Isn't that coming on?
Yeah, she's going to pop in and say hi.
Yay!
Come on in.
I don't have a chair, but
She's moving the green screen.
sorry.
I got to give her one of my
Yay!
headphones. That's left ear. We're going to be bumping it. Here, switch.
Hi.
Hi, everybody.
Can you hear her?
I hear her.
This is my wife, Annette. She's the one that keeps me in line mostly.
Yeah, maybe.
She tries.
Sometimes.
It's so nice to finally get to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
This is so cool. So you have to tell the little girl story now.
Yeah, they want to hear the little girl story.
Lord. You talking about the one at
Yeah,
Rockwood?
on Rockwood.
One night I was sitting waiting. Well, Doug had to work overnight, and I was sitting on our bed, and I did a lot of coupons back then. So I was going through them all, and hi, Josh, and hi, Sal. And I was going through them, taking out the old ones, making sure that I had all of them up to date. Well, I was just minding my own business, doing that. And I hear, I happened to look up, and I heard mama. And I looked up. We don't have girls. We have boys, 3 boys. I look up, and there is a girl standing in my bedroom. She's about 7 years old, maybe 6, 7. She's got like a petticoat kind of dress, like the old timey dresses. And she, that's all it was. That's the entire thing. That's all she said. She said, "Mama," I looked up and she was gone. So
Wow.
it was, and then Doug.
I saw her in the driveway like a couple months later. You saw her several times in the house.
Yeah, I saw her several times, and I also heard her voice several times in there too. She was in the kitchen once, which was, our bedroom was right off the kitchen. And she was in the kitchen once, and the boys were all asleep. Doug was gone. Doug saw her outside by the shrubs that we had outside. And then we also smelled cigarette smoke and cigar smoke.
Fire
in our house.
Had there been a fire there before?
We don't know. Doug may have done some
when I
research
looked
on
into
it.
that area, found out that area used to be farmland. Yeah, it's hot as hell in here. We found out that used to be a farm there that burnt down back like in the late 1800s, early 1900s.
Wow.
The farmhouse burnt down.
That's not the scariest house that we lived in, though.
Well, the same house was Nathan's bedroom where he wouldn't sleep.
Oh yeah, he wouldn't sleep in. My oldest son, who is now 26 years old, he had a closet in his bedroom that had an extra part where you had to crawl into it.
Wall, like a cutout in the wall that went out into a crawl space over the garage.
Yeah, and it was fastened closed with a stick and a rock, I think, wasn't it? And that would move off of there.
It would always be open every time you'd go in the closet.
And his light would come on during the night.
The closet light would come on by itself.
The door would open, and he would wake up sometimes, and he could almost see eyes looking at him.
Wow!
From that room.
That room was creepy.
But that's not the creepiest house, personally. I don't think. The creepiest house was on Lois Street out here by Bass Pro. When we first moved in there, we didn't have our youngest son yet, but after that he was born, and I would get up and during the night, and I would give him his bottle or whatever, and I would hear voices. And I told Doug, I said, "There's voices in this house," and he said, "Well, what do they sound like?" And I said, "Well, they argue sometimes, but mostly it's arguing, but sometimes they just kind of whisper." And then when he would be gone overnight, I would not go in our room. But it wasn't our room that scared me. It was our walk-in closet that scared me to death.
You're confusing folks. Quit calling me Doug.
Oh, sorry. DA, I apologize.
We know who he is.
I apologize. DA.
Well, who the hell's Doug?
Well, I'm used to his first name, so sorry about that.
No problem.
But anyway, I would not go in our closet. I don't know why. It was just scary as hell in there. I would not do it. And it all came to a big deal when my 18-month-old son, which was the one who was born while we were living there, he was standing next to me. I was getting ready to take him to bed, and he was standing next to me, and he started backing up, and he had this white face, frightened face on his face, look on his face. And I said, "What's the matter?" And he said, "That man over there, I don't like him." And he started pointing down the hallway towards the front door, but he was pointing in the corner where the door would come together. We had a window,
a little window in the
door. He was not pointing at that. He was pointing at in the corner. And for every time we would try, we went and stayed with my mom. Doug didn't, but DA didn't, sorry. But we went and stayed with my mom. Me and the boys went and stayed with my mom for a week. And when we tried to go back over there, Noah, my youngest, he climbed my mom because he did not want to go in that house.
Wow.
Finally, we got him back in there. And as soon as we were able to move, we did.
Yeah, that house was creepy.
It was creepy.
Like every time it would rain. I mean, we had the house.
Hot in here.
Yeah, I told you.
I have to open the door. Hang on.
We had the house.
I'll be right back, guys.
We had the house sprayed for bugs like every time this happened. But every time it would rain around the fireplace, these huge black bugs would come out just out of nowhere.
Okay.
I mean, every time it rained, I mean, we had the exterminator go underneath the house and look for them and spray down there. No matter what we did, every time it rained, these huge black bugs would come out of the fireplace.
Wow.
And it was only when it rained. I don't know what it was. And they were any other time you never saw them. It was just when it would rain. That house was super creepy. I worked overnights at the time in a factory, and when she would leave to take the boys to school, and my oldest to school, then she'd go spend the day with her mom, let me sleep. When she would leave for the day, I could feel it. I would wake up. There was just something in that house. I was so glad when we moved.
I can imagine. I would be totally freaked out. Josh says time to expand the office and get her set up with a mic and a cam. That's right.
Well, we need to get her set up with one. Oh, the green screen's about to go crazy. She's bringing a chair in, folks.
Oh, okay.
I got to sit down.
Let me scoot over a little bit. Well, you may get a look at my messy office.
No, that's okay.
Well,
Before it ain't that bad.
sorry about that, guys. I have bad knees. So.
Ace Banner 007 says DA is her hubby, Doug is her boyfriend.
That's right.
Josh says time to expand the office and get her set up with a mic and a cam.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't like being on screen very much.
Oh, don't say
Papa
that.
Bear says, were they chimney bugs? We had the chimney checked. There was nothing in there. There was no colony of bugs. Just weirdly, every time it would rain, these black bugs would come out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah. They were horrible.
You want to get a little closer? I can scoot over some more. There, I'll put my arm around you so you can get a little closer.
That was the only house I've ever seen, and it baffled my father. And we don't know how it got in because we were not horrible people. We did keep the bugs out of our house. But there was a slug that got into one of the
electrical outlets. Damn near burnt the house down.
Fried itself. We had no idea. It was
I walked into the dining room and I kept hearing something going bzz, 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 and I narrowed it down to that one outlet. And I took the outlet cover off and there was a slug that had somehow gotten in there and crawled across two of the wires and fried itself.
You don't have anything for me to tie my hair up, do you?
Here, you can use this if you want.
Since I don't have any hair, I don't generally keep hair ties on hand.
Here, I'll put your hat on.
Okay, gonna put my hat on. Gonna wear my squatch hat.
So we live on a pretty wooded lot. It's the first third of our lot is wooded and the back third is wooded, and then in the middle is the house. And there's a couple of trees in that little area, but not much. The wooded part is in the front and the back. But we do have a lot of tree frogs, and they manage to come down the chimney or through the crack. There's a little bit of a space in the front door, and I'll find them and I'll take them back outside. They're just some tiny tree frogs, no big deal. One day, I had to go to the bathroom, and that meant going down the hall because I used my bathroom only, and down the hall through the bedroom, around the corner into the master bath, and I got in there, and something slimy crawled across my backside.
Yuck!
I flew. So my bathroom's divided. You have the two bathroom sinks, and then you have the tub and toilet room that's got its own door.
I did.
And I slammed into the door trying to get out of there. Got the door open, ran around the corner, still felt it. It was still attached to my backside. Get around the corner, all the way back down the hall, reaching behind me, trying to get this off my
doing the scratch my butt dance,
screaming and pants down, like I'm like Kate McKinnon, talking about her UFO experience, And finally, I get out to the living room and I get my hand on it, and it's a frog. A frog had been under my toilet seat and crawled out from under the toilet seat and onto my butt cheek.
Oh my Lord.
It was probably the most terrifying experience of my life until I realized it was a frog.
When I was a kid, me and my brothers used to pull pranks on each other. And I bought one of these like bulbous syringes and then heated up the tip of it and bent it, like the ones you use to flush out babies' noses. Mm-hmm. Filled it with water with that angled tip up and put it underneath the toilet seat to get my brother when he went to the bathroom. Well, I forgot about it, and nobody had went to the bathroom, and my dad hit that thing. Oh my God! He hit the
no! You made your own bidet.
Oh yeah, I got in a lot of trouble.
Ace, they were about yay long.
Yeah, they were some kind of beetle.
Some sort of beetle. We called them water bugs because that's the only time they really came out was when it was wet outside.
And they crunched. I stepped on them. They sounded like a fortune cookie, like on Indiana
And they
Jones. Sound like fortune cookie.
I've never seen them ever since then or before then.
Yeah, just at that one house.
It was crazy.
It was like a segmented beetle, like 3 segments.
They were huge.
They were a good inch long, inch and a half.
Do they have big pincers?
I didn't see any pinchers on them. They just looked like a big black beetle.
That's crazy.
I totally agree with you, Louise. Is it Louise? Lewis. Sorry about that. Yeah, for some reason I like to pick on the kids because the kids always see everything. The kids and dogs. Animals, I guess I should say.
Yeah. They do like to, the more innocent the person, as in children and animals, the more they like to pick on them.
Yeah. Papa Bear, I don't know what chimney bugs are.
Chimney.
I said chimney.
Oh, you said chimney.
Oh, well.
Chimney.
I say chimney sometimes. I'm an Ozarkian, sorry. I don't know what chimney bugs are. They might have been. I don't know. But I don't know. It was crazy.
Naoma's got us a road trip we need to go on.
Oh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the creepy, we get to film a bunch road trip. We go to LBL, then the place where the Bell Witch story happened. And then what is it? Bell something State Park?
Montgomery Bell State Park. Where Wolf Springs and the White Bluff Screamer is.
Her and her husband are going to go with us.
Yep.
We need to do that.
You think I'm going?
Of course you're going.
You gotta go.
You gonna let me go by myself?
You gotta
if
go.
You're dumb enough to go out there and try to get eaten. I guess I'll let you. No, I'll probably go. I know our youngest son would go.
Oh yeah, Noah would definitely be on.
The one that saw the ghost, he is fascinated with them now. So
yeah, he wants to go with me to film.
Anything that gets filmed, he wants to be involved in it.
I understand that. It's like once you see it, you have to see it again and again and again and again and again.
We have Go in the house on the YouTube channel. He says, D.A. Roberts, hello from Croatia. How are you? I'm doing well, sir. Thank you. We've got somebody from Croatia. That is awesome. I'm glad we're picking up people all over the place. Welcome to the show, sir. Thank you. If you like the show, hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help out the channel. We appreciate that.
It would probably be a good idea to mention again about the special date and time for the next show.
Oh, yeah. Well, make sure we're letting everybody know that. I didn't mean to do that again. I'm going to have you take over doing that.
I know.
Because I suck at it. But with the this weekend show that we normally do on Saturdays will be on Sunday this week because we're going to do the show on Halloween. It's going to be scary stories and creepy tales and more so than what we're doing tonight. Tonight we're just telling kind of goofy, creepy things that have happened and a little bit of ghost stories. But the ones we're going to be telling on Sunday are going to be full blown horror stories. Some are going to be like folktale stories. Some of them will be more traditional monster stories. Some will be cryptid stories, because I've got some good ones to tell. And I think you guys are gonna have a good time. And we're gonna do all that, and we'll talk about cryptids and stuff. And after our show rounds up, Josh Jones in the house here, we're going to be doing a follow-up to the show with the guys from All Tower Media. We're going to be playing Bigfoot the game on Steam. We'll be streaming that live, and you guys can watch me play Bigfoot trying to kill Josh and Adam and Matt and anybody else that's playing. I'm going to be killing everybody.
I will not be on that show. I will be handing out those candies to the 3 kids that show up at my house.
I told you, if you get the full-size candy bars, they'll be texting everybody.
Oh, I'll just give them handfuls, like I usually do.
Don't give it all away.
We get about
some of it.
I'm sure we can buy more after. Best time to get Halloween candy? After Halloween.
What did I tell you? She's the queen of 50% off Halloween candy.
Or more.
Or more.
I only eat a bag a day, so.
Well, she has to tell me to leave it alone, or I'll just keep eating until I'm sick.
And I do like candy corn, by the way.
Yeah, see?
I don't like a lot at one time. It's too sweet, but
I just like to eat like first the tip. I like to eat it by the color, and then I take a little bite of the middle piece.
I used to do that when I had better teeth.
Did you eat crayons as a child? Is that what made you want to eat candy corn? Because they're just vaguely flavored crayons. They're so gross.
Better than crayons. I can tell you that
Right?
for
I
a
like
fact. Yeah.
There are some that are not good. I've had some in the past that had like a really dark section.
Yeah.
And they were not good.
They're not nearly as good. No, they're not. Honestly, I'll eat them.
One year she got some.
I did too. But
she got some caramel flavored candy corn, so I tried it. And it was just vaguely caramel flavored wax.
No.
Yeah.
You don't know what's good.
Josh wanted me to remind everybody, All Tower will be on for about an hour before DA, doing Halloween pop culture movies, etc. So, you guys check out All Tower Media if you guys have not checked it out on YouTube.
I'm sorry I ruined your name on here.
Oh, everybody knows his real name anyway.
He's been his name was part Marine.
Yeah, but see what Papa Bear said? Mm-hmm.
She was married to a Marine. Well, that explains it.
Mm-hmm. I know how to cook those crayons to make them taste good. Oh, shoot.
Gogo says, USA is beautiful like we see in the movies. There is a lot of diverse backgrounds in the United States. You can, in the span of a day, you can drive through a desert, through the mountains, and then off into prairies and eventually into just wooded areas. The Ozarks, where I live, is mostly, there's some farmland, but it's a lot of hills and woodlands. But any type of topography you like to live among, you can find it here in the States. I mean, in Alaska, we've got the frozen Arctic Circle. In Texas, we've got vast open plains and deserts that run into New Mexico, all the way stretching out to California. If you like the mountains, we've got multiple mountain ranges. The United States has a lot of beautiful scenery, but then again, so does Europe.
We got the swamps.
Yeah, we got swamps. I don't really find those quite so beautiful as much as creepy and somewhat terrifying, especially at night.
I come from a family of swampers, so I guess I kind of like them.
Speaking of swamps, did I mention that I've been looking into the old episode of Kolchak the Night Stalker, the Spanish moss murders with Père Fey?
Uh-huh.
Well, everything I could find on the internet, there were some websites that said it was made up for the TV show. There were other websites that claimed it was real, but they really didn't back it up with anything. It was, oh yeah, it's a real story, and that would pretty much it. So I really didn't know for sure. And Robert Miller, who's in the chat room tonight, or was in the chat room earlier, I don't know if he's still listening, but he's got family in southern Louisiana, and he got a hold of some of his family for me and found out that the Père Fey legend is real. It's basically a swamp Bigfoot that is a Cajun boogeyman that would carry people off if they, children, especially if they didn't behave. It's a Cajun boogeyman.
Cool.
So I immediately decided that I'm going to be, even if I've got to drive down there and talk to some people, I'm going to find out more about the legend. And at some point in the line of books, you're probably going to see a book called The Nightmare Hunter, Curse of Père Fey.
Pretty cool.
So that's going to happen.
I'll drive down there for you.
Heck yeah. We can make a road trip of that too. Go get some gumbo.
Go to Taylor, Mississippi on the way.
Oh, yeah. I want to go to Taylor, Mississippi so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Gogo says, yesterday, USA
have
safe
to
for
be there for
Croatia.
that one.
We don't need visa for your beautiful country. Hey, man, come visit. You'd love it.
I'm not as brave as Doug.
Yeah, neither am I. That's why I need someone to sit in the car with me.
There you go. We'll hold the flashlights from the vehicle.
She's done that before. I'll know if something's about to attack me because I'll hear the van take off.
Yeah. No, I would not leave you. I might try to run over whatever's out there. But...
That's hilarious.
Oh, the van's accelerating. Something's coming.
Run, DA, run.
Run, fat man, run.
Bye.
I love you, honey, but you're on your own.
And we know what the name of his final book is now.
Yeah.
Well, you know what they used to say about poets. 2 steps to becoming a truly great, famous poet was step 1, write massive volumes of poetry, and step 2 was die.
My poems are always super short.
I used to write a lot of poetry. I haven't written any in a long time. I should probably incorporate some of that into my writing at some point. I always put quotes at the beginning of the chapter. Maybe I should just start making up my own quotes and see if anybody notices.
I actually tell you one of my poems.
Okay,
It's
go ahead.
sad. Send me roses, she said. She was young and he was older. She wanted to be in love. He wanted to control her. He laughed a little laugh and said, maybe I would if you were good. Of course, he never did.
Wow.
Lewis says, I've heard of that story and was more moral. Also true when they had the big hurricane going through. A lot of people got drowned. They said it was the Cajun boogeyman. There's also the story of the Rougarou down there, and that's going to show up as well. Papa Bear says, you're lucky, DA. My wife wouldn't hesitate to take off. When we were down at the Joe Bald Recreation Area the second time filming at night, we had Josh Jones with us, and the wife was in the passenger seat of the van shining flashlights for us. And Josh got a text from his fiance. He was like, where's my car? She was more concerned about where her car was at. He's like, it's fine. It's safe. It's at Matt's house.
See, that's me. Truly, that's me.
You're fine, Gogo. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we understand everything you're saying.
Yeah, I'm in Missouri, which is about as close to dead center of the United States as you can possibly get.
I'm in Tennessee.
You're pretty close to the Kentucky line, though, aren't you?
Yeah,
have
I'm
a good
just
night,
north of
Northwood.
Nashville.
Northwoods, have a good night.
My husband has lived down here for 20 years, and the only accent he has, well, he has an accent, but it's a Midwestern accent. The only time he sounds Southern is when he says Tennessee, and that's exactly how he says it, Tennessee.
You notice people from those states have a funny way of saying the states. If you talk to somebody from South Carolina, it's Carolina.
Yeah, I come from Illinois, where everybody calls it Illinois, and it drives all Illinoisans crazy when people say Illinois.
Missouri.
Yeah, that's the one that drives me crazy
so
too.
Much.
People will say the Missouri. There's not an AH on the end of the state. There's an I.
Well, I'm going to tell you a story about Missouri. When you live in Illinois and you're getting ready to live in Missouri, you call it Missouri. And when you live in Illinois and you've just come back from living in Missouri, you call it Missouri. But when you're there, it's just plain misery. At least it was for me. I didn't have a good time.
I've lived here my whole life, but
I
would like to move.
I actually lived not too far from. I lived in Mountain View, Missouri.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, not too far from Lebanon.
That's pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can take you right out to the old farm that I was born at, but it's a housing development now. Gogo says, "Dear Roberts, what do you like most about USA culture?" I don't know. I don't really know if I can nail it down to any one particular thing. I'm a writer, so I love beautiful scenery and I love beautiful places to go visit, and I like creepy stuff, so I like going to places like that too. I like having the ability to basically just decide I want to go film at Land Between the Lakes, or I'm going to go film at Bennett Springs, and just the ability to just enjoy the things I love, and having the freedom to do it. I guess that's probably what I enjoy most about the U.S. I mean, I was a soldier at one time, ex-cop. I've put my time in uniform for king and country, as it were. So now I'm kind of trying to enjoy all of that I worked for.
I think one of the cool things about it being in America is that you can drive 100 miles in any direction and find another culture.
Right.
We have so many, and so many subcultures because everything's been so melted together here that I think that's really cool.
It is neat. Yeah. I like how you can, within the span of a short distance, you can have Polish pierogies, or you can have German brats, or you can have just about anything you want.
Mm-hmm.
Janet Klassen says, I'm in Carthage, Missouri. I plan on coming down to the Carthage area before too long. I want to film at the battlefield.
Cool.
I want to go down there at dusk and see if I can capture something on film. The battle at Carthage was pretty nasty.
Mm-hmm.
Wilson's Creek was as well, but I really want to go down and film at Carthage.
Cracks me up. I lived not very far away from Wilson's Creek at all my whole life. And how far do you think that was?
Maybe 2 miles.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Never went. Never.
Really?
Never.
Wow. Well,
Just never really had any inkling to. I'm not real big. I'm not a history buff, so.
Let me try to get that a little closer.
I was wondering.
I've lived in Nashville for about 6 years now, and I
It was right up in your face too.
haven't seen most of Nashville. I've never been to the Parthenon. I've never been to. Oh, hello.
There we go. I had you down just a little bitty in the corner. I'd forgotten I'd done that.
I was like,
why am I talking to her on a little bitty screen? I'm like, oh,
I don't know.
It's because moron, you haven't fixed it yet.
I was liking it the other way. We could go back to that.
I like this because I know where to look now. I kept looking at. I'd look up in the left corner, and then I'd look down in the right corner, and I'm like, I don't know where to look at.
This works better with the mic down too, because now I can actually see the comments.
All right.
Yeah, I was having to look around the mic to try to see the comments.
Anyway, but I've lived here for 6 years now, and I've never been to where's that place everybody likes to eat? Loveless. I've driven past the Bluebird. I know where that's at. I've never been in there. I've been to the Grand Ole Opry. I've never been inside. I've been to the Musicians Hall of Fame, but only because there was a Rolling Stone exhibit there, and I'm a big Stones fan, so had to go see that. Yeah, I've lived here all this time, and all of those really cool things that people talk about, never been to them.
Well, we have the Bass Pro museum here, a big time tourist attraction.
The headquarters of Bass Pro.
Never been in the museum. I've been in Bass Pro, but never in the museum.
It's the redneck Mecca. We don't go there very often.
It's also expensive.
Yeah.
I have a lot of family that makes a point of stopping at Bass Pro when they go through Springfield.
It never fails, though. I always run into somebody from Oklahoma that wants to know where that Pro Bass place is at.
Oh no!
It's not Bass Pro Bass.
Time.
People from Oklahoma call it Pro Bass for some reason.
Oh, that's funny. When I was a kid, that's what we called the Bass Pro Shop, or that's what I would call the Bass Pro Shop, and my dad would always correct me. It's not Pro Bass, it's Bass Pro. He's like, it's not the bass is not the pro, it's the guy catching it, so it's a Bass Pro. And I'm like, oh, well, it sounds like a Pro Bass to me. That would make the bass the pro.
Uncatchable.
Yeah.
If it got caught, you're just weeding out the dumb fish. You're just breeding smarter fish.
Josh, you went to the museum?
To the museum?
He says, hey, I went. It was fun.
Oh, okay.
I said, Josh, you went to the museum?
Oh, cool. Anyway, I had a friend come and visit me, and she wanted me to take her.
Okay.
Oh. She wanted me to take her around to all the sites, and the best I could do was drive her down Music Row. And the only reason I could do that was because my hairstylist was on Music Row. So I knew where to go.
Oh, that wasn't addressed to me, so I just put it up there on the screen.
You did that earlier, too.
I'm bad about it. That's why you need to be...
All right. I get it. Your right-hand woman.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, guys, I hate to do this because we've only been on for 3 hours, but you know how I'm starting to feel about midnight.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking I was going to go in a minute.
Okay. Well, we'll probably just go ahead and start wrapping things up. Naomi, you are awesome as always. Thank you for telling your story. I love your jack-o'-lantern story.
So sorry that it's actually a real legend. I just kind of updated it.
Updated and embellished a little bit.
A little bit.
It's still a great story. Again, before we go, if you guys have not had a chance to check out my books, check out if you like horror, sci-fi, or even fantasy. There's a fantasy book in the works. You can check out everything I've written at DA's on my website, which is daroberts.net. If you Want to follow me on Facebook? You can find me at facebook.com/DA Roberts Author. Actually, on all of my social media, it's DA Roberts Author just because it's easier to keep track of. If my social media is the same on all across the board, then you know exactly how to find me. I'm at DA Roberts Author on Twitter. I'm DA Roberts on YouTube. DA Roberts Author. So you can find him on me on any of the media at DA Roberts Author. If you want to help shape the future of the DA verse, check out the Patreon over at DA Roberts Author on Patreon. And if you would like to join the Discord community and keep the chat alive, you can use this link at any time and join the Discord community. It is 100% free, and we talk about cryptids and monsters and books and everything you can think of on the Discord community, and the chat pretty much goes all the time. So hope you guys will jump in and join us there. If you would like to contact us, if you have a sighting of your own, or you would just like to talk to us about something on the show or suggest a show, then you can check us out at you can email us at daroberts@daroberts.net. Or if you want to send us a postcard or a letter with your story in it, you can contact us by mail at DA Roberts or DA Ex Machina at P.O. Box 4614, Springfield, Missouri 65808-4614. And Marwell says you have Grizzly Tool down there. Yeah, that's a pretty big place too. It's really, really cool building.
I have a couple of things real quick.
Okay, shoot.
Lenita, I got your email. It's sitting in the box. I haven't read it yet, but I just have really been backed up and I'm so busy. I really want to enjoy. Lenita had an encounter with a serial killer.
Oh, awesome.
And she shared it with me, and I just wanted to let her know it's there. I'm going to read it, and when I do, I will respond. I promise you. And the other thing is somebody said that Hank Williams is said to haunt the Grand Ole Opry. They're having special haunted tours this weekend at the Grand Ole Opry.
Well, that's awesome.
I would love to have gone, but I was going to pay $40 for the tour, so I didn't.
Well, you know what else is going on this weekend, right?
What?
The haunted campfire. It's at Falk, Arkansas. Lyle Blackburn's going to be there. I would love to have been able to go down there for that, but that's a bit of a drive. But if you're anywhere near Falk, Arkansas, it's first come, first serve on the camping, and it looks like it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a lot of people down there telling campfire stories about cryptids and everything else.
One of the girls that was at the LBL a couple of weekends ago, she's from that area. She had some really good stories about Falk.
I want to go down there and film. I totally do. I've got a list as long as my arm of places I want to go film.
Don't worry, Annette. I'm going to make him take me, and that means you have to go too. So,
like I said, I'll be in the van.
I'll be there with you. Believe me, I'll be right beside you.
And remember, folks, that instead of our normal Saturday night show, we will be broadcasting on Sunday night. Because that's Halloween night, and we'll be doing creepy stories and all kinds of cryptid-related goodness. And we may have some trick-or-treats of our own to give away. I've still got some $5 gift cards that we can give out for $5 on Amazon. And I don't know, we might find something else cool to give away. I still have a Scallywag tactical hat we can give away. I've got some patches, and we'll see what else we might have in the goodie bag. For giveaways on Halloween night. So we will do a little trick or treats of our own. So I want to thank you guys for being here. Thank my wife for joining me. I've been trying to get her to do it for a while. Naoma, thank you for being here. You are so awesome. Thank you so much. And Henri, as the day is long.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe
a little longer. But I am so glad that you joined us tonight, Annette. I've been so excited for this. I hope that you join us a lot. I think it'll be fun.
I need to come in here. He needs help.
I need to get you another computer set up so you can actually do
this room is so tiny.
Yeah, it's like a closet.
Yeah.
This was our youngest son's bedroom for a while, and it was a bed and closet. That was pretty much it.
Yeah. I have a little corner of my bedroom. We have a big bedroom, but I have a small corner I work from. When the books are behind me, it's a tiny little space I'm squeezed into. So
I also forgot to air our commercial for our sponsor over at Dark Angel Medical. So I'll go ahead and run that commercial before we wrap up. You guys swing by darkangelmedical.com. Kerry Davis, Pocket Doc. He's been a character in some of my books. Really great guy. Dark Angel Medical is a veteran-owned company, and they make med kits for every need, whether you need basic first aid or a trauma kit. I carried one of their kits on my duty belt for years as an officer, and I can't imagine putting my life in the hands of any other kit. They have the Kit for Life guarantee. If you use your kit to save a life, they will replace the contents of the kit for free, for life. So go over and check out Dark Angel Medical. I'll run their commercial real quick.
Everybody, this is Kerry Pocket Doc Davis from Dark Angel Medical, and you are listening to DA Ex Machina with DA Roberts. You may recognize me or some of my products from Dark Angel Medical in some of the Apex Predator, Lakeview Man, and Wild Hunt books, and you can get those products at www.darkangelmedical.com, along with training classes on how to use those products and save a life. Shoot us an email at info@darkangelmedical.com and be the difference.
And that's Kerry. I love his accent.
I love his WW.
Yeah. Like, spit it out, Kerry. Come on now.
If this is your first time here, folks, we hope to see you again.
Definitely. Hope you guys will join us again. Join us on Halloween night, 9 p.m. Central Time. And we're going to be telling some creepy stories and having a good time. And, maybe we'll even manage to stay on subject. Who knows? It could have happened.
It has.
I don't know if it's happened. Yeah, it has happened once or twice.
For a little while. I
Just
mean, I don't think we've ever stayed on for the whole night, but we have been able to
stay on topic for a while.
Yeah.
Well, I enjoy it because to me, it's a much more relaxed atmosphere. It's like we're just hanging out and talking with friends. And that's the way I feel. I feel like we don't have fans. We have friends.
That's right.
Appreciate you all being here. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Hope you guys have a safe and happy Halloween. And we will see you guys on Sunday. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you for joining us tonight on DA Ex Machina. If you ever have an encounter of your own that you wish to discuss, contact us at daroberts@daroberts.net. You can remain completely anonymous if you wish. Pull your covers up tight and keep a nightlight burning bright. Oh, and did you forget to lock your doors?